Welcome. I'm truly grateful to have you here. Please, make yourself comfortable and take your time. This story was crafted with care, dedication, and deep respect for your attention. I hope it brings you joy, reflection, and perhaps even a touch of nostalgia. Once again, thank you for sharing a moment of your day with me. The year is 1347. You wake up in the middle of a medieval winter. The biting cold, a familiar, unwelcome friend. Your breath mists in the frigid air, a fragile cloud that vanishes almost immediately. You're curled tight on a straw mattress, but the damp, bone-deep chill still radiates from the massive stone walls around you, seeping into your very bones. You can feel the rough texture of the cold, hard floor through the thin rug, an unyielding presence beneath your small body. It's a constant, undeniable reminder of your place. The room is vast, high-ceilinged, and incredibly dim, even as the first pale light attempts to filter through a narrow, unglazed window. Shadows cling to every corner like reluctant ghosts. You push yourself up slowly, your muscles stiff, a shiver running down your spine that has little to do with the temperature. The silence stretches, broken only by the distant, muffled sounds of the castle beginning to stir. The clatter of a bucket, a harsh cough from far away. No warm voices, no soft footsteps approaching. You are utterly alone in this cavernous space. You stand, your bare feet meeting the unforgiving stone. Each step is a small jolt, an icy shock that travels up your legs. You pull your threadbare wool tunic tighter, wishing it could offer more than a fleeting illusion of warmth. You walk to the narrow window, pressing your small hand against the rough-hewn stone frame. It's perpetually cold, always. Outside, the world is a monochrome landscape, blanketed in frost. The castle looms around you, a formidable fortress of gray rock, immense and indifferent. You watch the gray sky, searching for any sign of sun, any hint of color, but find none. It's just endless gray. A guard passes outside your door, his heavy footsteps echoing down the long corridor, a brief, sharp noise before silence reclaims its reign. You quickly retreat from the window, pulling back into the deepest shadows, making yourself smaller, less visible. It's an instinct, a learned response. You've mastered the art of being unnoticed, of moving through the grand halls without drawing attention. A tiny figure against a backdrop of imposing power. Every creak of the floorboards, every distant shout makes your shoulders tense. You feel like a shadow cast by something much larger, much colder. This vastness, this silence, it's not peaceful. It feels like an endless expanse, where warmth struggles to reach, where kindness is a foreign whisper. You turn your gaze to the worn tapestry on the wall, depicting some long-dead hero in battle. His expression is stern, unyielding, much like the faces you often see. You trace the intricate, faded patterns with your eyes, a silent story unfolding, but it offers no comfort. Only the steady beat of your own heart reminds you that you are here, present, enduring. You clench your small fists, a tiny act of defiance against the overwhelming cold, the immense quiet, and the expectation of silence. If this story resonates with you, please like and subscribe. I'm curious, where in the world are you listening from, and what time is it there? Share in the comments. Even the deepest chill, you realize, eventually leaves an imprint, not just on the body, but on the spirit, shaping the very way you experience the world. It becomes a part of you, a silent companion, faint, almost forgotten scent lifts from the worn velvet of an old, neglected cushion tucked away in a shadowed corner of your chamber. It's not the usual smell of damp stone or stale hearth smoke. No, this is something else entirely. Dried lavender, perhaps, or a lingering whisper of costly rosewater. It's a ghost of perfume, a delicate, fragile memory that struggles to assert itself in the heavy, cold air. You lean closer, breathing it in, a small, involuntary gasp escaping you. It's a scent that doesn't quite belong here. A tangible hint of a softer world, a warmer presence that once filled these very spaces, a presence long gone, leaving only this faint, poignant trace. Your eyes drift to a small, tarnished silver locket lying half-hidden beneath the cushion. It's cool and heavy in your palm, the metal aged and dull, its intricate design almost worn smooth by time. You try to open it, your small fingers fumbling with the stubborn clasp, a sudden, fierce determination gripping you. There's a faint, almost imperceptible warmth that seems to radiate from it. Or perhaps it's just the heat of your own desperate hope. Finally, with a soft click, you manage to pry it open, the sound unnaturally loud in the pervasive silence. Inside, 2 miniature portraits, so faded they are barely recognizable, stare back at you. One is of a stern, regal man you know only from distant glances and hushed whispers. Your father. The other is a woman, her features softened by the artist's hand and the passage of time. Her eyes seem to hold a gentle sadness, a quiet understanding that mirrors the unspoken longing deep within you. You run your thumb over her image, feeling the cold, smooth surface of the painted ivory, trying to conjure the warmth of her gaze, the sound of her voice, anything. But it's just an image, a frozen moment from a life you barely touched. The silence of the tower room now feels different. It's not just empty. It's an active, echoing void, filled with the presence of her absence. You can almost hear her footsteps on the cold stone, the rustle of her gown, a faint melody hummed long ago. But these are just illusions, whispers of a ghost you've built from fragments and imagination. No real comfort comes, only a sharpened sense of what you've lost, what you'll never truly know. You pull the locket close to your chest. It's cold metal, a stark contrast to the burning ache in your own small heart. You walk to the narrow window, the locket still clutched tight. Outside, the bleak winter landscape mirrors the desolation inside. You press your forehead against the icy pane, the cold, a sharp, physical punctuation to the emotional chill that grips you. You close your eyes, trying to superimpose her face onto the gray sky, trying to find a warmth, a memory that feels tangible, real, but it's fleeting, always just out of reach, like smoke dissolving into the vast, indifferent air. You open your eyes, the castle walls looming, solid and unmoving, a fortress around your solitary world. You understand that some absences are so profound they become a presence all their own, a quiet, constant weight you carry, a silent companion in the heart of the tower. The rough wool of your tunic scrapes against your skin, a persistent, itchy reminder of your presence, your station. You feel the unyielding weave against your neck, the slight chafing at your wrists with every movement. It's not simply uncomfortable. It's a constant, low-level irritation, a dull ache that settles just beneath the surface. A tangible difference from the softer, finer garments you sometimes glimpse on the truly favored. This fabric is dense, utilitarian, dyed in muted, forgettable colors, designed for durability rather than grace. It's what you wear every single day, a second skin that never truly feels like your own. You are in the castle's bustling main hall, a stark contrast to the quiet of your room. The air here is thick, with the smell of roasting meat, wood smoke, and the heavy, earthy scent of many people. Sounds collide. The clatter of platters, hushed conversations, the distant baying of hounds. You move along the periphery, a small figure swallowed by the grandness of the space and the swirling activity. Your hands smooth automatically over the coarse material of your sleeve. A habit, a gesture of almost unconscious adjustment. You watch as others pass, their silks rustling, their velvets shimmering with intricate embroidery. The ladies of the court glide by, their gowns a cascade of vibrant hues, soft to the touch, their movements unburdened by stiffness or scratchiness. You see a young noblewoman, perhaps a year or two older than you, her delicate fingers idly stroking the smooth satin of her gown as she laughs with her companions. Her laughter is light, unconstrained. No rough fabric binds her. No constant, subtle discomfort draws her attention inward. You perceive the ease in her posture, the effortless way her rich fabric falls. You try to make yourself invisible against a shadowed pillar, blending into the muted tapestries that depict scenes of heroic hunts. Your own attire seems to aid in this invisibility, its plainness designed to keep you from standing out, from drawing unwanted gazes. Yet you feel every fiber of the coarse wool, a constant friction against your skin, and ironically, it makes you feel intensely, acutely present, even as you strive to disappear. It's a paradox. The fabric meant to humble you, to make you forgettable, instead carves itself into your awareness, a relentless physical marker. You trace a faint, uneven seam on your sleeve, feeling the slight lump where the stitches are less perfect. It's a small flaw, but somehow it resonates with a deeper, unspoken sense of being flawed, of being incomplete. The garment feels like a truth told without words, a statement about where you belong, or more precisely, where you don't. You press your lips together, a subtle tightening of your jaw, resisting the urge to scratch at an imagined itch. This constant awareness, this physical reminder, shapes your every move, every quiet breath you take. You come to understand that the texture of your world isn't just external. It's woven into the very clothes you wear, a constant physical narrative that defines and confines, subtly, relentlessly, shaping not just how you're seen, but how you feel yourself to be. The small, hard crust of bread rests in your hand, its surface rough against your fingers. You bring it to your lips, noticing its faint, dusty smell, a muted echo of sun-baked grain, utterly without warmth or invitation. As you bite down, the dryness is immediate, almost aggressive. Your teeth meet resistance, a dense, unyielding texture that demands effort. This isn't soft, yielding white bread. It's a coarse, dark loaf, meant for sustenance, not indulgence. You chew slowly, deliberately, the sound surprisingly loud in your own ears. A grinding rhythm that feels less like eating and more like a task. It breaks apart into a thick, paste-like mass, clinging to your palate, completely devoid of flavor. No hint of salt, no richness, no comforting sweetness. It is simply, unreservedly, bland. You are seated at a long, polished oak table in the castle's minor dining hall, a place of lesser importance but no less rigid expectation. Around you, other children of various noble households sit, their movements almost perfectly synchronized, their small hands manipulating forks and spoons with a studied elegance. The air is cool, carrying the faint metallic scent of old armor and the distant, sterile aroma of beeswax polish. You can feel the quiet hum of observation, the subtle shifts of gazes from the stern governess at the head of the table, her eyes missing nothing. Her presence is a constant, unblinking reminder of propriety. Your back remains straight, your shoulders relaxed, a carefully constructed illusion of ease. With a focused, almost mechanical motion, you lift your small wooden cup and take a sip of watery ale, rinsing the dry bread down. The liquid provides a momentary relief, a fleeting lubrication, before the blandness returns, settling heavily in your stomach. There is no joy in this consumption, no sense of delight. Each bite is a tiny victory of will over a body that simply needs fuel. You watch the hand of the child beside you reach for a piece of cheese, their fingers hesitating for just a second too long, and you see the governess's sharp, silent glance. Instantly the hand retreats, the cheese untouched. You ensure your own movements are swift, efficient, leaving no room for perceived transgression. This taste, this absolute neutrality, isn't just about hunger. It's about the quiet, calculated performance of obedience. It's the flavor of acceptance, of falling into line, of dissolving your own desires into the prescribed routine. You finish your portion of bread, leaving no crumb behind, a silent testament to a duty meticulously fulfilled. You feel the emptiness in your mouth, but also a strange sense of accomplishment. It's not satisfaction, but the quiet understanding that you have passed another small test, navigated another expected ritual. The meal concludes without fanfare, without a word spoken directly to you, yet the message is clear, imprinted by every bland bite. You realize that the taste of simple sustenance, when consumed under constant scrutiny and expectation, can become the most profound flavor of all, the bittersweet essence of quiet, unyielding survival. Every unseasoned morsel swallowed is a small affirmation of your place, a testament to the disciplined self required to endure. The unexpected pressure on your shoulder is immediate, a heavy, unyielding weight that sends a jolt through your small frame. It's not a gentle clasp, nor a comforting squeeze. Instead, it feels like a claim, a firm, deliberate assertion of presence. You freeze instantly, every muscle tensing, your breath catching in your throat. You can feel the distinct warmth of their palm through the rough wool of your tunic, a heat that feels strangely invasive against your skin, even as the air of the great hall remains cool and vast around you. You are standing near the edge of the immense hall, a space filled with the cacophony of court life. Laughter rings out, sharp and high, mingling with the deeper rumble of male voices, the clink of metal, and the distant, vibrant strains of a lute. The air smells of beeswax, damp rushes, and a faint, cloying sweetness of spilled wine. Your eyes, accustomed to navigating this bustling environment unseen, dart frantically, trying to identify the source of the unwelcome contact without turning your head. You remain perfectly still, a small statue amidst the swirling movement, your gaze fixed straight ahead on the intricate patterns of a distant tapestry. Then, a voice, low and gravelly, rumbles close to your ear, not in a whisper, but in a tone meant to be heard only by you, intimate yet utterly devoid of tenderness. You don't understand the words, a foreign dialect. But the implication hangs heavy in the air, a silent command. You can almost feel the vibrations of the speaker's chest through the hand still planted firmly on your shoulder. It's a moment stretched taut, an eternity where every sound in the hall seems to fade, replaced by the thumping beat of your own heart against your ribs. Your jaw clenches, a tiny, almost imperceptible tremor running through your arm. You glimpse a reflection in the polished surface of a nearby silver goblet. The imposing figure of a man, his face weathered, his eyes sharp and appraising. His hand, large and heavily ringed, remains on you, a physical anchor that pins you to this spot, to his attention. You sense the shift in the atmosphere around you, the way a few conversations lull, a few eyes subtly flick in your direction before quickly averting. They see, they notice, but they do nothing. You are a tableau, a silent spectacle for a fleeting moment, caught in the web of an adult's casual assertion of power. Slowly, deliberately, the hand lifts. The sudden absence of its weight leaves a phantom pressure, a strange, lingering chill on your shoulder where the heat had been. You take a shallow, silent breath, feeling your muscles slowly unclench, a tremor running through your frame that you fight to suppress. You don't turn, don't look back. You simply stand there for a moment longer, waiting for the surge of blood to recede from your face, for the tightness in your chest to ease. The hall's sounds rush back in, overwhelming and loud once more, as if the world had merely paused for your discomfort. You realize that some touches leave an imprint far deeper than any bruise, etching a feeling of helplessness onto your very skin, a memory of boundaries crossed without consent, in a world where your space is never truly your own. A sharp metallic tang cuts through the usual castle smells. The lingering wood smoke, the faint must of stone, the rich, buttery scent of roasted game wafting from the kitchens. This isn't the smell of a freshly sharpened blade, or the faint scent of rust. No, this is something deeper, more visceral, like the taste of fear in your own mouth, suddenly made manifest in the air around you. It's the unsettling aroma of fresh blood, stark and potent, clinging to the heavy air, catching in the back of your throat. You are moving through a narrow, dimly lit corridor, your footsteps muffled by the thick, woven rushes on the floor. The sound of hushed, urgent voices filters from behind a heavy oak door ahead, a low murmur that hints at tension, at something unfolding that is not meant for your ears. Your senses sharpen, every nerve alive to the subtle shifts in the atmosphere. You feel a prickle on your skin, the hairs on your arms standing on end, a primal alarm bell ringing deep within. The scent intensifies as you draw closer to the door, a cold, visceral warning. You pause, pressing yourself against the cold stone wall, trying to make yourself as small and invisible as possible. Through a crack in the doorframe, you catch a glimpse of the room beyond. Shadows dance wildly from a single flickering torch, distorting the figures within. You see the glint of steel, the rich, deep crimson pooling on the floor, shining darkly under the torchlight. A figure, barely visible, lies slumped, unmoving. The scene is grim, an unspoken horror playing out in the silence of the private chambers. The metallic scent fills your nostrils now, a suffocating presence. The voices grow louder, one sharp and authoritative, the other frantic, pleading, then abruptly cut short. You flinch, pulling back further into the shadows, your heart hammering against your ribs like a trapped bird. You feel a wave of nausea, a cold dread that spreads through your stomach, the sensation of betrayal thick and heavy in the air, mixing with that undeniable scent. It's not just the sight. It's the understanding that settles deep in your gut, a sudden, chilling clarity about the true nature of the power held within these walls, the swift, brutal consequences of displeasing it. You close your eyes for a brief moment, trying to block out the image, the scent, the dreadful implications. But it's already too late. It's imprinted, a searing memory. You open your eyes again, forcing yourself to remain still, to breathe slowly, evenly. You cannot react, cannot reveal your presence. This isn't a place for soft emotions, for shock or fear to show. You understand, with a chilling certainty, that survival here means seeing without seeing, hearing without hearing, and knowing without ever acknowledging. You turn, moving silently, swiftly, retreating from the scene, the metallic odor, a stubborn companion that seems to cling to your clothes, your hair, your very skin. You realize that in this world, even the air can carry a story, and some stories are sharp, brutal truths that pierce through everything else, leaving a lingering, unforgettable scent of power, ruthlessness, and the stark reality of how one must learn to simply endure. A sharp, acrid smell, unlike any hearth smoke, claws at the back of your throat, instantly drying your mouth. It carries on a brisk, unforgiving wind, stinging your eyes even before you fully grasp its source. This is the scent of burning wood, yes, but mixed with something else, something foul and unsettling. A sickly sweet, tar-like odor that hints at more than just kindling. It's a smell that grips you, forcing a shudder through your body, raising the tiny hairs on your arms. You find yourself drawn, almost against your will, towards one of the castle's less guarded ramparts, a high point overlooking the village square below. The air up here is colder, whipped by the wind, yet it's thick with that pervasive, choking scent. From this vantage you can see plumes of dark smoke coiling upwards into the gray sky, a ragged, ominous pillar. Below, the square is a mass of huddled figures, their dark cloaks like stones scattered on the frozen ground. They stand unnaturally still, a silent, unmoving testament to the gravity of the scene unfolding. Your eyes strain through the swirling haze. You can just make out a structure at the center of the square, a crude, hastily built pyre, its base already engulfed in flickering orange flames. The crackle of the fire, though distant, is distinct, carried by the wind, a hungry, relentless sound. You feel the collective tension of the crowd below, a palpable weight hanging in the frigid air. Their faces are indistinct, but their rigid postures, their bowed heads, speak volumes. No one dares to move. No one dares to speak above a whisper. The smoke tastes bitter on your tongue, a dry, metallic sensation that settles deep in your chest. You instinctively pull the rough fabric of your sleeve up to cover your nose and mouth, a small, futile gesture against the inescapable air. You watch as a flicker of movement occurs near the pyre. A sudden, desperate struggle, quickly suppressed. The flames surge higher for a moment, illuminating the scene in a harsh, dancing glow, then retreat, leaving only the relentless smoke and the shuddering shadows. The wind shifts again, blowing a denser cloud directly towards you, forcing you to turn your head, to gasp for cleaner air. You rub your burning eyes, the raw sensation, a stark reminder of what you're witnessing. This isn't just a punishment, it's a spectacle, a chilling display of ultimate authority, designed to instill profound fear, to quell any flicker of dissent before it can even ignite. The silence from the crowd, the way they press together, seeking a strange comfort in numbers while utterly alone in their terror, is louder than any scream. You feel a cold knot tightening your stomach, a chilling understanding of the rules that govern this world, rules written in fire and fear. You realize that fear, like smoke on the wind, is an invisible force, carried into every corner, every breath, leaving a permanent stain on the collective consciousness, a silent lesson in obedience. The soft, rustling glide of heavy silk across polished stone is the first sensation, a sound so distinct it signals her arrival without you needing to look. It's not a noisy swish, but a luxurious whisper that cuts through the muted hum of courtly chatter, instantly drawing all attention without a single spoken word. This is your half-sister, the princess, and you feel her presence, not as a source of warmth, but as a sharp, sudden concentration of focus, a powerful gravitational pull in the grand hall. All eyes, it seems, instinctively turn towards her, leaving the periphery where you linger feeling even more desolate. You are a small, still figure, pressed back into the deep shadows of an alcove, seeking the comforting anonymity of the massive, cold stone walls. The air, usually alive with faint perfumes and the distant echo of lute music, now feels taut, charged with an unspoken expectation, a collective holding of breath. You glimpse her from the corner of your eye, a vision in deep sapphire velvet, its rich folds cascading around her, intricate silver embroidery catching the candlelight, shimmering like captured stars. She moves with an effortless grace, her head held high, a perfect tableau of inherited favor and undeniable beauty. When she pauses, her shadow, long and elegant, stretches across the very spot where you stand, momentarily eclipsing you, a fleeting, cold veil falling over your small form. You feel her proximity, a fleeting breath of costly rosewater and something else, the faint, sharp tang of iron from her ornate belt perhaps, or merely the overwhelming aura of her unassailable power that seems to push the very air away from you. Your gaze, practiced in discretion, lifts past her, seeking out the queen on her elevated throne. Her posture is impeccable, a portrait of regal composure, yet you perceive a subtle tension in the set of her jaw, a faint tightening around her eyes, and the way her gloved fingers, heavy with jewels, grip the polished wood of the armrest. Her eyes, sharp and intelligent, track her daughter's every move, not with overt maternal affection but with an intense, almost analytical scrutiny. When her gaze sweeps over the princess, it lingers for a beat too long, and in that protracted moment you detect it, a fleeting, almost imperceptible flicker of something akin to apprehension, a quiet, almost bitter calculation. It's a fear not of an external threat, but of the very power embodied by her own flesh and blood, a silent acknowledgement of the precarious dance of succession and influence within these ancient, hungry walls. This is the weight of a crown, the constant vigilance. You feel the atmosphere subtly shift around the queen, a subtle tightening, as if the air itself holds its breath in anticipation of her next unspoken command. This isn't the open, raw fear you witnessed in the village square. This is a sophisticated, internal dread, woven deep into the very fabric of royalty, subtle yet corrosive. It's the fear of what might challenge, what might eclipse, even from within one's own family. A constant, low-burning fire beneath a calm exterior. It is a quiet, steady thrum of anxiety that subtly resonates throughout the court, infecting the grand tableau with a chilling undercurrent that only you, in your overlooked position, seem to truly perceive. You stand within her daughter's physical shadow, but you sense the mother's hidden tremor, the underlying fragility of her reign. You realize that power, in its highest forms, often breeds its own unique kind of fear, a silent, corrosive anxiety that clings even to those who wield it most absolutely, making them perpetually watchful, profoundly wary, and in their ultimate isolation, tragically alone. The sudden, immense pressure on your scalp is immediate, a dull ache blooming behind your eyes. It's not just heavy, it feels as if a great solid stone has been placed directly on your head, pressing down, threatening to flatten you. You can feel the cold, unforgiving gold against your hair, a chill seeping through to your skin, even through the thick velvet cap beneath. This isn't a crown seen from afar. This is St. Edward's crown, now yours, and its weight is a physical, undeniable truth. You are standing on a raised dais, the rough, familiar texture of your court shoes strangely distant from the opulent, embroidered fabric beneath your feet. The air in the vast cathedral is thick with the scent of old incense, polished wood, and the subtle, nervous sweat of 1,000 onlookers. A deafening roar of voices, a collective gasp, and then a sustained cheer, swells and crashes around you, vibrating through your entire body, making the heavy crown feel even more precarious. You feel the tremor in your hands, hidden beneath the rich, heavy robes of state, your fingers curling instinctively, trying to find some anchor. Your vision narrows, the ornate jewels of the crown glinting just at the edge of your peripheral sight, blinding flashes of emerald and ruby, diamond and sapphire, each one a tiny, sharp point of light reflecting the countless eyes now fixed solely upon you. The circlet, unforgiving and unyielding, presses into your temples, a constant, nagging reminder of its presence, a physical boundary that defines your very head. You taste nothing but the dryness in your mouth, a nervous, metallic tang that has nothing to do with hunger, everything to do with the overwhelming reality of this moment. You try to keep your breathing even, shallow, lest a deeper breath cause any wobble, any sign of weakness. Beneath the magnificent weight, you perceive a strange, almost dizzying lightness in your body, a disconnect. You are here, undeniably, yet you feel like an automaton performing a role, moving through a grand, elaborate play. You catch a glimpse of the Archbishop, his face severe, his hand still poised in the air, as if blessing the very air around you, his eyes piercing, watchful. You see the faces in the front rows, a sea of nobles, some beaming with forced smiles, others with expressions unreadable, masks of calculation. Their eyes are not truly on Asterixio, but on the symbol perched on your head, on the power it represents, a silent, unspoken expectation that now binds you. You focus on holding your neck steady, the muscles straining under the unfamiliar burden. Every movement feels deliberate, amplified, as if the entire world holds its breath, waiting for you to falter. The cheers begin to fade, replaced by a low, reverent hum, a collective sigh of acknowledgement. You feel the cold, hard reality of the metal, pressing down, a constant, undeniable force. It is not a decorative ornament. It is a yoke, beautiful and glittering, but a yoke nonetheless, binding you to a destiny you did not choose. You realize that power, in its most absolute form, is not merely given. It is imposed, a glittering, undeniable weight that crushes individuality, demanding a performance of strength, while silently bearing down on the very core of your being. A sudden, violent surge of sound hits you, an enormous, guttural roar that seems to rise from the very earth itself, shaking the air around you. It's not a unified, celebratory cheer, but a chaotic, swirling tempest of shouts, cries, and stamping feet, each voice adding to a deafening, overwhelming wave of human noise. You feel the vibrations of it deep in your chest, a physical assault that threatens to disorient you. Your ears ring, and for a moment, the world blurs into a chaotic mosaic of color and movement. You are being paraded through the narrow, cobbled streets of the city, a figure atop a magnificent, gilded carriage, pulled by 4 white horses whose breath mists in the crisp autumn air. The scent of damp earth, unwashed bodies, and cheap ale rises from the surging crowd that presses in on all sides, a pungent, earthy smell that contrasts sharply with the delicate perfumes and burning incense of the cathedral. You can feel the rough jostle of the carriage, the subtle sway, a constant motion that makes it difficult to anchor yourself, even within your own opulent, heavy robes. Your eyes, shielded by the intricate jewel-encrusted crown that still feels like a lead weight on your head, struggle to focus. You see a sea of faces, thousands upon thousands, distorted by distance and the overwhelming rush of sound. Some mouths are wide in a cheer, others grimaced, some shouting words you cannot discern. A hand reaches out, a pale, gnarled fist, before being pushed back by the guards. Another throws a wilted flower that lands harmlessly on the carriage floor. You perceive not individual emotions, but a vast, collective energy, a monstrous entity that both embraces and threatens to consume you. It's an ocean of human desire, expectation, and desperation, all focused, searingly, on you. You taste the metallic tang of blood in your mouth, perhaps from biting your tongue, perhaps just the phantom taste of profound tension. Your throat feels tight, constricted. You try to offer a small, regal nod, a practiced gesture, but it feels hollow, disconnected. The cheers grow louder, then die down, only to surge again, an unpredictable rhythm that keeps you perpetually on edge. You realize with a chilling clarity that this sound, this immense outpouring, is not for you the person. It is for the symbol, the crown, the institution you now represent. It is a demand, a hunger, a mirror reflecting their own hopes and fears, all projected onto your small, burdened figure. Despite the deafening roar, an astonishing, profound silence settles within you. It's not the quiet of your tower room, or the hushed reverence of the coronation. This is an internal quietude, a space carved out by the sheer magnitude of the external noise, a place where your own thoughts, your own self, seem to recede, retreating from the overwhelming clamor. You move, you breathe, you exist within this storm, yet inside, a perfect stillness reigns. It is a strange, protective void, a necessary retreat from the unbearable weight of public life. You realize that sometimes, amidst the greatest noise and the grandest spectacle, the truest silence is found within. A quiet retreat where the soul attempts to find refuge from the overwhelming demands of the outside world. This inner quiet is not peace, but a profound, necessary isolation. The first sensation is a cool, damp caress on your skin, followed almost immediately by a subtle, creeping tingle. It's not an itch, not yet, but a strange, distant sensation, like 100 tiny pins pricking just beneath the surface. You can smell its faint, chalky aroma, a sterile, almost metallic scent that hints at earth and something inorganic. This is the Venetian ceruse, applied by the skilled, unsmiling hands of your ladies-in-waiting, and it is settling onto your face like a delicate, treacherous mask. You are seated at your dressing table, a heavy oak piece adorned with silver and polished stone. The room is brightly lit by numerous candles, their flickering flames casting dancing shadows on the rich tapestries that line the walls. The air is thick with the scent of expensive beeswax, faint rosewater, and the lingering, sharp scent of the ceruse itself. You feel the gentle, precise movements of the women around you, their soft brushes and sponges meticulously working the heavy white paste across your features. Their silence is absolute, broken only by the rustle of their gowns and the soft, almost imperceptible whisper of the brushes against your skin. You watch their reflections in the polished silver mirror, their expressions neutral, focused on their task. The tingling intensifies, a persistent low-grade irritation that spreads across your forehead, your cheeks, settling around your jawline. It feels like a faint, tightening film, an artificial layer being stretched over your natural skin. You try to suppress a subtle frown, a natural reaction to the discomfort, but your face must remain still, unmarred, a blank canvas for the painstaking artistry of courtly beauty. You can feel the coldness of the paste, yet simultaneously, a strange warmth, a faint burning sensation, begins to bloom beneath it, a sensation that is both uncomfortable and, in a twisted way, familiar. You perceive the subtle changes in your own reflection, the faint imperfections smoothed away, the natural flush of your skin replaced by an ethereal, almost ghostly pallor. Your eyes, framed by this stark white canvas, seem to deepen, to hold more shadow, more mystery. This isn't your face, not truly. It's a carefully constructed facade, a regal mask designed to meet the rigid expectations of your position. The women lean in, their fingers delicately patting, blending, their gazes critical, assessing their work with an almost scientific precision. You feel their close proximity, their quiet breath, yet you are utterly alone within this ritual. As the cerus dries, the tightness grows, a stiff, unyielding second skin. You can barely move your facial muscles without feeling a pull, a restriction. It's a constant, physical reminder of the role you embody, the image you must project, the natural self that must be painstakingly hidden beneath layers of artifice. The faint burning sensation persists, a secret sting, a small price paid for the flawless, unblemished complexion deemed appropriate for a queen. You realize that sometimes the pursuit of perfection and power demands a silent, persistent suffering, a willingness to endure discomfort, even harm, to project an image that can never truly be you. The mask becomes both a shield and a prison, beautiful yet agonizing. The pervasive dryness in your mouth is a constant companion, a faint, papery sensation that no amount of water seems to truly quench. It's an internal thirst, a deep-seated aridness that mirrors the feeling on your face. You can feel the tightness across your skin, a sensation that has become so familiar it almost blends into the background of your existence, yet never entirely disappears. It's a subtle, unyielding pull, as if your features are perpetually held in a delicate, rigid suspension. You are in your private dressing room, the space hushed, the only sounds the rustle of your rich silk dressing gown, and the faint, methodical scrape of a tiny silver spatula against a small pot. The air, though warm from a nearby brazier, feels sterile, lacking the natural living scent of skin. Your reflection in the polished silver mirror shows the face of a queen, impossibly pale, smooth, and utterly devoid of the subtle lines that trace genuine emotion. It is a masterpiece of artifice, the Venetian ceruse meticulously applied, a flawless porcelain mask that seems to defy the relentless march of time. Yet, underneath, you are acutely aware of the delicate balance, the constant protest of your own flesh. You lift a finger to the edge of your jaw, very carefully, feeling the slight flaking beneath the smooth, white layer, a faint, almost imperceptible scaling that only you can truly detect. It's a hidden rebellion, a silent testament to the caustic nature of the very substance meant to preserve your beauty. You imagine the skin beneath, parched and weary, suffocated by the heavy layers, yearning for air, for moisture, for the simple freedom of natural movement. The silence in the room amplifies this internal conflict, this slow, silent erosion beneath the grand facade. You turn your head ever so slightly, a practiced, minimal movement, to catch the light from a nearby window. In that precise angle, you glimpse a tiny, almost invisible crack near the corner of your eye. A hairline fracture in the perfect surface, a testament to a fleeting, perhaps accidental, smile or frown that day. You trace it with your mind, knowing it will need careful mending. Another precise layer of the chalky paste, another moment of quiet, enduring sting. It's a constant vigilance, a daily battle against the truth of your own aging body. A relentless pursuit of an impossible, unchanging ideal. You perceive the image staring back at you, serene, powerful, timeless, and understand the vital importance of this deception. This mask is not just for beauty, it is for survival. It projects an ageless strength, an impenetrable calm, a visual lie that speaks volumes about stability and control. But you also feel the weary weight of it, the constant tension, the subtle burning that has become an almost permanent resident beneath the surface. Each day, you painstakingly construct this flawless visage, knowing that with every application, you are both building a fortress and slowly, meticulously, imprisoning your own skin, your own truth, within its elegant, toxic walls. You realize that a mask designed for immortality, for an unchanging ideal, inevitably transforms the living flesh beneath it into a silent, enduring prison, where beauty and power demand a constant, unseen sacrifice. The faint, dry rustle of heavy silk, like dead leaves skittering across rough stone, instantly snags your attention. It's an unnervingly soft sound, one that shouldn't be here, not in this secluded antechamber off the main hall, a place for quiet passage. You feel a sudden prickle of unease, a familiar tightening deep in your chest that always accompanies the hint of hidden things. The air, normally heavy with beeswax and dried flowers, now vibrates with an unseen presence, a tension you've learned to detect. You are ostensibly admiring a grand tapestry, your fingers tracing faded gold threads. Your pose is one of regal detachment, a cultivated mask of calm, but your mind races, every nerve alert. Your breath is shallow, held, as you strain to hear past the soft crackle of the braziers. Then, a low murmur, distinct yet indistinct, words carried on the thin air, barely a whisper. It's not the cheerful banter of your ladies, nor the polite chatter of courtiers. This is hushed, urgent, punctuated by brief, sharp silences. The rhythm alone tells a story of deliberate secrecy. You subtly shift your weight, feigning deeper interest in the ancient weave. your eyes darting almost imperceptibly to the polished marble floor. There, catching the faint glint of a distant candelabra, you glimpse the fleeting reflection of two figures. Their backs are mostly to you, but their postures betray a clandestine intimacy, heads close together by an unlit archway. Their rich garments, deep velvet and costly, rustling silk, shimmer faintly, signaling their rank. One leans in, mouth close to the other's ear, a gesture too intimate for public display, too furtive for innocent conversation. A heavy, jeweled hand lifts, briefly touching the other's arm. A quick, possessive squeeze, then withdraws, leaving unspoken meaning. A profound, cold dread coils in your stomach, tightening your muscles, sending a shiver down your spine. You can't make out the words, no, but the asterisk tone is unmistakable. It's the low hum of conspiracy, the quiet pulse of secrets being shared, secrets not meant for your ears, perhaps even against your interests. The very air around them thickens, heavy with unspoken intent, with the weight of potential disloyalty. You feel intense suspicion, a hot flush rising to your neck, even as your skin turns clammy with apprehension. The silence after their exchange is more potent than any noise. An active, potent void. They separate, moving away with unnatural swiftness, their silks rustling again, a sound now charged with sinister meaning, fading as they round a distant corner. You keep your gaze fixed on the tapestry, forcing your face into serene contemplation, not daring to betray your awareness. But the image of their closeness, the intensity of their hushed communication, the cold feel of reflected light on their furtive forms, is burned into your mind. You taste bile at the back of your throat, a bitter flavor that has nothing to do with hunger, everything to do with the poisonous undercurrents that constantly swirl beneath the glittering surface of your court. This silent observation is a skill learned through necessity, a constant vigilance against unseen enemies. You realize with chilling clarity that in a world where power is absolute and always coveted, every soft rustle, every muffled whisper, every fleeting conspiratorial glance carries the potential weight of betrayal, turning even the most luxurious fabrics into shrouds for hidden dangers, and every shadow into a potential accomplice. The very air you breathe is thick with ambition and quiet peril. The familiar, faintly metallic tang of the silver spoon touching your lips is the first sensation, followed by the soft, almost imperceptible scrape against the delicate porcelain of the bowl. You can smell the rich, savory aroma of the stew before you, a fragrant blend of herbs and roasted meat, yet your stomach remains stubbornly clenched, refusing to respond to the inviting scent. Instead, a peculiar dryness persists in your mouth, a nervous anticipation that overwhelms any sense of appetite. You are seated at the head of a long, ornately carved table in your private dining chamber, the flickering candlelight casting long, dancing shadows on the walls. The air is warm, perhaps too warm, and strangely still. Your ladies-in-waiting stand in quiet attendance, their faces carefully composed, their eyes lowered, but you feel their subtle presence, their unspoken watchfulness. The only other person in the room is your trusted food taster, a man with a perpetually somber expression, who stands by your side, his hand steadily holding a small, silver cup. With a practiced, almost ritualistic movement, he dips a small, separate spoon into your stew. You watch his hand, the way the muscles flex beneath his sleeve, the slight tremor that might just be the play of light. He lifts the spoonful to his own lips, his gaze meeting yours for a brief, intense moment. You perceive a flicker of something in his eyes. Resignation, perhaps, or a quiet, enduring loyalty. He consumes the bite slowly, deliberately, his jaw moving with a measured pace. You hold your breath, your heart thumping a frantic rhythm against your ribs, a drumbeat of terror in the otherwise silent room. The seconds stretch into an eternity. You scan his face, searching for any subtle change, a twitch of the eye, a flush of the skin, a sudden catch in his breath. You taste the sharp metallic tang of fear, a phantom taste in your mouth that mimics the supposed poison. The rich aroma of the stew, once inviting, now feels cloying, heavy with unspoken menace. He clears his throat, a small, unremarkable sound, but it sends a fresh jolt through your veins. He stands perfectly still, his expression unchanged, a statue of endurance. Finally, after what feels like an hour, he offers a barely perceptible nod, a silent signal that the food is safe. The breath you didn't realize you were holding escapes in a shaky sigh. You pick up your own spoon, the silver now feeling cool and heavy in your hand, and bring a small amount of the stew to your lips. The flavor, when it finally reaches your tongue, is muted, almost distant, overshadowed by the intense relief, the lingering tension. It tastes less of herbs and meat, and more of the chilling, insidious paranoia that has become a constant ingredient in every meal, every decision, every interaction. You realize that when the air itself is thick with suspicion, and loyalty is bought with the risk of death, every bite taken is not merely sustenance, but a defiant act of survival, a constant reminder of the unseen dangers that lurk in the most intimate corners of your life. The most bitter taste, you learn, is not poison, but the poison of perpetual vigilance. The cold, unyielding pressure of unfamiliar fingers against your stomach is immediate and stark. It's not a gentle touch, not a comforting one, but a clinical, methodical exploration. You feel the cool, dry skin of a stranger's hand pressing, probing, moving slowly across your abdomen. It's invasive, impersonal, a stark intrusion into your most private space. You can smell the faint, acrid scent of some medicinal herb, or perhaps a cleaning agent clinging to their clothes, a sterile aroma that does little to soothe your escalating discomfort. You are lying on your back on a richly draped bed, the heavy silk counteracting none of the vulnerability you feel. The room is quiet, hushed, filled with the presence of several figures. 3 men, dressed in their sober scholarly robes, stand around your bed, their faces devoid of expression, their gazes fixed intently on your body. They are the royal physicians, men of learning and influence, but to you, they are simply detached observers, dissecting your physical form. The air is still, heavy with an almost suffocating formality. Your ladies-in-waiting hover in the background, their averted eyes signaling their own discomfort, their inability to intervene. One physician leans closer, his breath warm against your cheek, and you perceive the faint, earthy smell of his scholarly books, a scent that offers no solace. He presses down harder, his fingers sinking deeper, searching for something, assessing, calculating. A sharp, internal protest rises within you, a sudden, almost uncontrollable urge to flinch, to pull away, to cover yourself. You clench your jaw, tightening every muscle, forcing yourself into absolute stillness. You taste the familiar dryness in your mouth, a nervous, metallic tang, and feel the faint tremor in your hands. Hidden beneath the heavy bedclothes, you watch their faces, their eyes darting from you to each other. a silent conversation passing between them through subtle nods and almost imperceptible shifts in expression. You are not a person to them, not a queen, but a problem, a puzzle to be solved, a vessel to be examined. They speak in low Latin murmurs, their words arcane, impenetrable, further emphasizing your isolation, your reduced state. You feel an intense, burning shame, a profound violation of your private self, even though their touch is professional, devoid of malice. It is the very impersonality of it that chafes, the reduction of your being to mere anatomy. Finally, with a soft, almost soundless movement, the hand withdraws. The sudden absence of pressure leaves a lingering impression, a phantom sensation on your skin, an echo of the unwelcome intrusion. The physicians retreat slightly, their quiet consultations continuing. You take a shaky, silent breath, feeling your muscles slowly unclench, a profound weariness settling deep into your bones. You close your eyes, trying to reclaim some small part of yourself, some scrap of privacy in a life where even your body is subject to constant cold scrutiny. You realize that in the position of ultimate power, the body itself ceases to be entirely your own, becoming instead a public domain, a site of constant examination and expectation, where even the most intimate aspects of your being are subject to sterile, detached scrutiny. This physical vulnerability you discover is a profound form of powerlessness. A strange, persistent awareness settles in your lower belly, a lingering phantom of the physician's recent, intrusive touch. It's not pain, precisely, but a heavy, unspoken knowledge, a quiet anticipation that hums beneath your skin, making you intensely, acutely conscious of this one specific, vital part of your being. You can still almost smell the faint medicinal tang of their salves on the air, a scent that now seems to cling to your very person, a constant reminder of the intrusion. You are seated at a window overlooking the castle gardens, though your gaze is fixed inward, not on the barren winter landscape. The heavy velvet of your gown feels luxurious, but beneath it, your body feels exposed, no longer entirely your own. The room is quiet, hushed, but the silence is charged, expectant. You feel the weight of countless unseen eyes, the collective hope and anxiety of an entire kingdom, all focused on this one biological function. Your ladies-in-waiting move about with a studied quietness, their averted glances nonetheless conveying a profound, shared understanding of your paramount duty. You trace a fingertip along the cold, smooth glass of the window pane. Your womb feels less like a private organ and more like a public chamber, awaiting a most important guest of state. Every subtle shift within you, every passing sensation, is now amplified, scrutinized, not by your own desire, but by the overwhelming expectation that hangs in the air, thick and palpable. You recall the old tapestry in the antechamber, depicting generations of royalty, each line flowing into the next, a relentless, unbroken chain. Each figure, even the women, seemed to gaze out with an ancestral demand. You instinctively press a hand to your abdomen, not in tenderness, but in a gesture of profound introspection, of almost desperate inquiry. Is it empty? Is it ready? The questions are not your own, but echoes of the kingdom's needs. You taste the ever-present dryness in your mouth, a subtle, physical manifestation of the immense pressure. Your heart beats a steady, measured rhythm, but it feels as though it beats not just for you, but for a nation, for a future that hinges on this one, singular potential. You perceive the careful, measured movements of your attendants, their almost suffocating consideration, a constant, gentle pressure that reinforces the monumental nature of your biological role. The air itself seems to carry the whispers of succession, the silent prayers for an heir, a promise of stability for the realm. You are a vessel, a living conduit for the future of England, and this awareness settles over you with the crushing weight of a second crown. It is a burden of the flesh, a biological imperative that eclipses all personal desire, all individual feeling. You are not merely a queen, but a living, breathing extension of the state, your most intimate function now a matter of national importance. You come to understand that in the grand theater of royalty, your body is no longer yours alone. It is a repository for an entire kingdom's future, a precious, public vessel carrying a profound and inescapable destiny. The deepest freedom, you realize, is the ownership of one's own self, a luxury seldom afforded to those born to wear a crown. The incessant groaning grind of heavy wooden wheels against deeply rutted, muddy earth is the first sound that assaults you, a persistent, grating protest that vibrates through the very floor beneath your feet. It's a rhythmic, inescapable noise, punctuated by the occasional loud nument at a sum, as the carriage lurches violently over a particularly deep pothole, sending a sharp jolt through your spine. You can smell the raw, damp earth, mixed with the musky scent of straining horses and the faint, coppery tang of tired metal. You are confined within the claustrophobic opulence of a royal carriage, its velvet-lined interior feeling less like a sanctuary and more like a gilded cage. Outside the small, leaded window, the world is a blurred gray-green canvas of endless, wet countryside. Rain streaks down the pane, distorting the already miserable view. You feel the constant, jarring motion, a relentless rocking and swaying that twists your stomach and sets your teeth on edge. It's a physical ordeal, day after day, week after week. Your hands grip the polished wooden rail of your seat, knuckles white, trying to brace yourself against the next inevitable impact. Another jarring lurch sends a sharp pain through your neck, and you wince, trying to subtly massage the stiff muscles. You taste the dusty air of the confined space, a dry, unappealing flavor that never quite leaves your tongue. You watch the flickering reflection of a nearby lantern in the window, its light dancing crazily with every bump, mirroring the agitation within you. Your ladies-in-waiting, seated opposite, sway in a practiced rhythm, their faces pale with fatigue and suppressed discomfort. Their gazes are carefully neutral, but you perceive the faint lines of weariness etched around their eyes, the subtle tension in their shoulders. The steady clip-clop of the horses' hooves, usually a soothing sound, now blends into the relentless grind of the wheels, a monotonous rhythm that feels like it's slowly wearing away at your very spirit. You try to focus on the intricate embroidery on your gown, on the rich texture of the velvet, anything to distract from the physical misery. But the vibrations are too persistent, the lurches too frequent, too unsettling. You feel a profound, bone-deep exhaustion, a weariness that permeates every fiber of your being, leaving you raw and vulnerable. You close your eyes for a moment, trying to escape the sensation, to find some internal stillness amidst the endless movement. But even with your eyes shut, the rocking persists. The sounds echo, and the image of those grinding wheels sinking deeper and deeper into the mud is starkly clear in your mind. This journey, This royal progress is not a grand procession, but a grueling test of endurance, a relentless march through an unyielding landscape, where comfort is a fleeting illusion, and true peace is a distant dream. You realize that power, in its pursuit of visibility and control, often demands a silent, relentless physical toll, turning grand journeys into prolonged ordeals, where the weight of duty is measured not just in crowns but in the bone-shaking grind of every mile. A sudden, overwhelming wave of stench hits you, so potent it makes you gag. It's a complex, sickening blend. Stale sweat, unwashed bodies, human waste, and the faint, sour tang of desperation. It clings to the damp air, forcing itself into your nostrils, into the very back of your throat. This isn't the clean, brisk air of the open road, but the concentrated, suffocating breath of a crowded, suffering populace. You instinctively recoil, a shiver running down your spine that has nothing to do with the cold. You are moving slowly through the narrow, crowded streets of a market town, the gilded carriage, an incongruous island of splendor amidst the squalor. The grinding of the wheels and the rhythmic clop of the horses' hooves are now accompanied by the ceaseless, chaotic din of human voices. Shouts from vendors, the plaintive cries of beggars, the excited murmurs of the curious crowd. You feel the constant jostle of the carriage, the way it pitches and rolls, but the external chaos now eclipses the internal discomfort. Through the small, leaded window, your gaze sweeps over a sea of faces. They are gaunt, weathered, etched with hard labor and hunger. Their clothes are ragged, patched, and dull, utterly without adornment. Children, their faces smudged with dirt, dart in and out of the legs of adults, their eyes wide with a mix of awe and fear. You perceive their outstretched hands, not in a gesture of welcome, but of supplication, their silent pleas raw and undeniable. You see the hope in some eyes, a desperate, fleeting belief in the magic of your passing, and in others, a profound, weary resignation. The stench lingers, a constant assault, but you force yourself to breathe shallowly, to suppress the urge to cover your nose. You taste the dryness in your mouth, a nervous response that makes the air feel even fouler. You offer a practiced, gentle wave, a regal smile, a carefully composed tableau of benevolent royalty. It is a performance, a deliberate act of theater, designed to project an image of care and compassion, to soothe the restless masses, to reaffirm their belief in the distant, untouchable power you represent. You watch as a few in the crowd respond, their faces momentarily softening, a brief, collective sigh of reassurance rippling through them. But beneath the forced smile, you feel a profound, aching disconnect. You are physically present, yet utterly separated, observing their misery from behind a wall of gold and privilege, utterly unable to truly bridge the chasm between your world and theirs. The clamor of their lives, their desperate need, is deafening, yet you are powerless to offer more than a symbolic gesture. This is the reality of your rule. A spectacle of distant authority, a fleeting moment of contact that resolves nothing, changes nothing, yet must be endlessly enacted. You realize that true power is not always about solving problems, but often about managing perceptions, performing compassion, and maintaining an illusion of connection across an unbridgeable divide, leaving you trapped in a gilded cage of responsibility, forever separate from the very people you are meant to govern. The stench of their suffering, will cling to you long after the procession has passed. The faint, rhythmic scratch of the quill on heavy parchment is the only sound that penetrates the oppressive silence of the chamber. It's a dry, whispering scrape, like insects skittering across a brittle leaf, yet each tiny movement feels amplified, echoing in the vast, empty space. You can almost smell the faint, inky aroma, a sharp, metallic tang that mixes with the musty scent of ancient documents and cold stone. It is the sound of an irreversible decision being committed to paper, a life being signed away. You are seated at a massive, carved oak desk, its surface cold and hard beneath your forearms. The room is dimly lit by a few sputtering candles, their flames barely disturbing the shadows that cling to the high ceilings. Before you lies a document, stark and unyielding, its Latin script dense and impenetrable. Your hand, adorned with heavy rings, hovers above the parchment, a feather quill clutched between your fingers, poised above the line where your signature is expected. You feel the dull ache in your hand, a tremor that has nothing to do with fatigue, everything to do with the enormity of the act. A wizened old clerk, his face a mask of practiced neutrality, stands rigidly by your side. He offers no advice, no comfort, only a silent, unwavering expectation. His eyes, though lowered, seem to bore into you, urging you forward. You glance at the document, your gaze sweeping across the official seals and ribbons, the dense legalese that shrouds a stark truth. You taste the dryness in your mouth, a perpetual nervous response, and feel the cold knot in your stomach tighten, growing heavier with each passing moment of hesitation. You perceive the stark, simple truth of what your signature will unleash. It's not just ink on parchment, it is a finality, a life abruptly ended by your command. The weight of it settles on your shoulders, a cold, crushing burden that feels heavier than any crown. You imagine the condemned, their name, their face, suddenly vivid in your mind. You recall the sharp metallic scent from the corridor, the smoke from the village square. This is the quiet culmination of those harsher realities, made concrete by your hand. With a deep, almost inaudible sigh, you dip the quill into the small, ceramic ink pot. The dark liquid adheres to the feather, thick and heavy, waiting. You close your eyes for a brief second, trying to find some inner strength, some external justification, anything to lessen the chilling impact of what you are about to do. Then, you open them, your gaze fixed on the blank space, and with a firm, deliberate movement you press the quill to the parchment. The scratching sound echoes, sharp and final, as your hand moves, forming the intricate flourishes of your royal name. It is done. The ink gleams, wet and black, a stark, irrevocable declaration. You realize that ultimate power is not merely the ability to command life, but the chilling, solitary burden of commanding death. A silent, weighty act that leaves an indelible mark not just on parchment, but on the very soul. The scratch of a quill, you find, can carry the loudest, most terrifying echoes. A faint, metallic bitterness lingers on your tongue, a taste that has nothing to do with food or drink. It's the phantom flavor of the ink, perhaps, or the sharp, coppery tang of adrenaline settling in the back of your throat. You can still almost feel the delicate, feather-light pressure of the quill in your hand, its final scratch on the parchment echoing long after the sound has vanished. The scent of old paper and fresh ink fills the air, heavy and significant, a constant reminder of the chilling act just completed. You are sitting alone now at the massive oak desk. The signed death warrant resting innocently before you, its dark script a stark contrast to the pale parchment. The room feels impossibly vast, cold and utterly silent. The flickering candles cast long, dancing shadows that seem to stretch and twist into menacing shapes. The old clerk is gone, your attendance dismissed. You are utterly, profoundly alone, surrounded by the echoes of your own authority, the weight of your own decision. You pick up the document again, your fingers tracing the elegant, intricate loops of your signature. It is a perfect, regal script, entirely your own, yet it feels foreign, detached, as if written by another hand. You stare at the name of the condemned, now merely a word, a single entity whose fate has been sealed by your mark. You perceive the finality of it all, the absolute power contained in that simple act, a power that paradoxically feels less like strength and more like an isolating burden. The silence in the room isn't peaceful, it's a suffocating void, filled only with the relentless hum of your own thoughts. Your gaze drifts from the document to the window. Outside, the world is dark, an inky blackness matching the ink on the page. No stars are visible, only the vast, indifferent void of the night. You press your forehead against the cold, smooth glass, feeling its chill seep into your skin, a physical anchor against the churning within you. You taste the bitter residue of the ink, the metallic tang of finality, and feel a deep, pervasive coldness settling your chest, a chill that no fire can banish. You stand slowly, pushing back from the desk, the heavy chair scraping loudly on the stone floor, an unwelcome noise in the oppressive quiet. You walk to the grand unlit hearth, gazing into its cold, empty cavern. No warmth here, no comfort. Only the dark, silent evidence of your actions, the indelible mark of your rule. The immense power you wield, the authority that allows you to decree life and death, suddenly feels like a heavy, isolating cloak, wrapping you in an impenetrable solitude. There is no one to share this weight with, no one to truly understand the burden of such choices. This profound isolation, you realize, is the true cost of the crown. You recognize that supreme power, while granting the ultimate authority, simultaneously bestows a profound, chilling solitude, where the weight of every decision, especially those of life and death, is borne alone, leaving a bitter taste that no sweetness can ever truly erase. A delicate, persistent scent, a whisper of rose and jasmine, lifts from the heavy parchment even before you break its seal. It's an unusual fragrance, distinct from the familiar herbs and beeswax that usually scent your private chambers. This perfume is rich, foreign, almost cloying, and it brings with it an immediate, subtle prickle of unease. You can almost feel the presence of another, unseen hand, having carefully applied this very fragrance, a deliberate, potent signature carried across distance and time. You are seated at your writing desk, the afternoon light filtering weakly through the leaded glass window, illuminating dust motes dancing in the cool air. The room, usually a sanctuary, feels suddenly charged, taut with an unspoken tension. The letter lies before you, addressed formally, sealed with a familiar, yet unwelcome, crest. Your ladies-in-waiting, usually busy with embroidery or quiet tasks, stand a little straighter, their gazes fixed on some distant point, their stillness a testament to their awareness of this particular correspondence. You feel their collective, unspoken apprehension, mirroring your own. Your fingers, steady with long practice, break the wax seal. The soft snap echoes loudly in the hushed room, a small, violent sound. As the parchment unfolds, the perfumed air intensifies, surrounding you, almost suffocating. You trace the ornate, elegant script with your eyes, recognizing the familiar hand of your royal captive. The words themselves are formal, polite, a request or a plea for a small indulgence. But beneath the careful phrasing you perceive a different kind of message. It's a message carried in the very strength of her hand, in the precise spacing of her words, and most potently, in the lingering, almost defiant perfume. It speaks of an unbroken spirit, of a continuing presence, even from behind gilded bars. A cold knot tightens in your stomach. You taste the sudden dryness in your mouth, a nervous response that makes the air feel heavy, cloying. This isn't just a letter. It's a tangible piece of her, a sliver of her world intruding into yours, a constant, irritating reminder that she still exists, still plots, still holds a shadow of influence. You can almost hear her voice in the rhythm of the sentences, her ambition shimmering through the polite requests. You feel the weight of every word, not for its literal meaning, but for the unspoken challenge it represents. Your fingers clench, crushing the fine parchment for a brief moment before you force them to relax, smoothing out the telltale crinkles. You glance towards your ladies, their faces still averted, but you perceive the subtle shifts of their shoulders, the shallow breaths they take. They too understand the unspoken language of such missives. This delicate scent, so seemingly innocent, is a potent poison, subtly spreading fear and uncertainty through your court, a constant, invisible threat. You fold the letter carefully, placing it on the desk, the perfume still rising from it, a ghost in the air. The physical object is small, easily dismissed, yet its presence looms large, a constant, tangible reminder of the complex, dangerous dance of power you inhabit. You realize that even from captivity, a rival's mere scent, carried on the air of a perfumed letter, can exert a potent and unsettling influence, serving as a constant reminder that power is never truly singular, always contested, always shadowed by unseen, lingering threats. The sudden, visceral thwack of an axe striking wood slices through the crisp morning air, sharp and brutal, instantly silencing the chirping birds and the distant hum of the castle. It's a sound that doesn't just hit your ears. It reverberates deep in your bones, a chilling echo that seems to pierce through the very stone walls. You can almost feel the impact, the sudden severance in your own body. The air, already cold, feels suddenly colder, thinner, charged with an unspoken dread. You are standing at a high, unglazed window in your private chamber, your hands gripping the rough stone sill so tightly your knuckles ache. Your breath mists in the frigid air. Below, in the distant courtyard, a small, dark gathering of figures is visible, huddled around a raised platform draped in black. Though you cannot discern faces from this height, their solemn stillness, their bowed heads, speak volumes. The faint, metallic tang of blood, a ghost of a scent, seems to linger on the wind, a memory from a previous, similar moment. A low, collective gasp rises from the courtyard, a wave of sound quickly stifled, replaced by an unnerving, profound silence. It's a silence so deep, so absolute, that it feels heavier than any noise, thick with the weight of hundreds of held breaths. Your heart hammers against your ribs, a frantic, frantic drum. You press your forehead against the cold stone, trying to steady yourself, trying to rationalize the horror you've just witnessed. The image of the axe, glinting in the pale morning light, followed by that horrifying final sound, is seared into your mind. You perceive the subtle shifting among your ladies-in-waiting, who stand rigidly behind you. Their gazes are fixed on the floor, their faces pale, their hands clasped tightly. No one speaks. No one dares to meet your eye. But you feel their shared knowledge, their collective tremor, the understanding that the delicate dance of power has just claimed another life, an enemy neutralized, a threat removed. This act, sanctioned by your authority, is a chilling reminder of the brutal necessities of your rule, the unforgiving demands of the crown. You taste the familiar dryness in your mouth, a nervous response that has become a constant companion. The faint, cloying scent of the perfumed letter from yesterday seems to rise again, ironically, a ghostly reminder of the very challenge that led to this brutal resolution. You close your eyes for a brief moment, trying to erase the sound, the image, the sickening finality. But the echo of that axe strike persists, reverberating in the silence, a cold, hard truth that settles deep in your soul. It is the sound of absolute power asserting itself, a terrifying, irreversible declaration. You realize that ultimate power, in its most absolute and brutal expression, leaves an echo not just in the air, but in the very core of your being, a constant, chilling reminder of the lives that hang by a thread of your command, and the heavy, indelible stain that comes with such unforgiving authority. The sharp, bracing sting of salt spray hits your face, instantly waking every nerve ending. It's an invigorating shock, a taste of the raw, untamed sea, mixed with the harsh, metallic tang of iron that permeates the air. You can feel the fine mist clinging to your eyelashes, dampening your lips. The constant rhythmic roar of the crashing waves, a deep, powerful bass note, almost drowns out the sharper, higher-pitched clang of distant metal on metal, the unmistakable sound of armor, of preparation, of impending conflict. You are standing on the muddy, windswept shore at Tilbury, the ground soft and yielding beneath your heavy boots. The sky above is a vast, churning canvas of gray and bruised purple, mirroring the turbulent sea that stretches endlessly before you. Around you, the shore is a hive of activity, thousands of soldiers, a formidable array of steel and determination. Their movements are precise, purposeful, a low, guttural murmur rising from their ranks. You are dressed not in courtly silks, but in shining, polished armor, its cold, hard surface pressing against your body. A second skin of resilience. You lift a gloved hand, the leather rough against your palm, and feel the cold, heavy grip of your sword hilt. Its familiar weight is comforting, an anchor in the chaotic scene. Your eyes scan the horizon, searching for any sign of the approaching threat, the enemy fleet that looms like a storm on the edge of your consciousness. You taste the salt and iron on your tongue, a potent, almost ceremonial flavor that signifies courage, defiance, and the stark reality of war. The wind whips your hair around your face, a cold, relentless force, but you welcome its bite, finding strength in its untamed energy. You perceive the collective gaze of your soldiers, thousands of eyes fixed intently upon you. Their faces, weathered and grim, hold a mixture of fear and unwavering loyalty, all looking for assurance, for strength. You stand before them, a small, resolute figure against the vastness of the sea and the sky, radiating a quiet, unyielding resolve. You feel their hopes, their fears, their very lives resting upon your shoulders, a burden far heavier than any crown. This isn't the calculated performance of the court. This is raw, visceral leadership, stripped bare of artifice, exposed to the elements. A deep cheer, a resounding roar suddenly erupts from the ranks, a unified surge of loyalty and determination. It washes over you, enveloping you in a wave of shared purpose, a momentary reprieve from the chilling solitude of command. You meet their gaze, a silent promise passing between you, a pact forged in the salt spray and the cold iron. This is a moment of truth, a crucible where your strength will be tested, not by whispers and plots, but by the undeniable force of open warfare. You realize that true leadership, in moments of gravest peril, demands not just the crown, but the courage to stand exposed, unmasked, before your people, to taste the bitter salt of battle, and to become, unequivocally, the unwavering heart of their collective will. It is in this raw, elemental confrontation that the true weight and purpose of power are forged. A tremor, barely perceptible but intensely real, starts deep in your core, a delicate quiver in your muscles, settling first in your hands, then subtly, insidiously, creeping into your knees. It's a sensation that claws its way to the surface, despite your rigorous training, despite the cold, heavy armor that encases you. You can still taste the sharp salt and metallic tang of the sea air on your tongue, but now it mixes with the bitter, coppery taste of your own adrenaline, a raw, primal fear that struggles to break through your carefully constructed composure. You are astride a magnificent charger, its powerful muscles flexing beneath you, a living, breathing throne. The sun, finally breaking through the bruised clouds, glints fiercely off your polished breastplate, turning you into a figure of pure, unwavering light. Before you, stretching to the horizon, are thousands upon thousands of your soldiers, a sea of determined faces, their eyes fixed solely on you. The immense cheer from moments ago has faded, replaced by a profound, expectant silence, thick with anticipation. You can feel the roughness of the horse's mane beneath your gloved hand, its warmth a brief, grounding connection. You lift your arm, a practiced, sweeping gesture designed to encompass every single man. The heavy gauntlet feels stiff, cumbersome, yet you force the movement, extending your hand in a gesture of unity and command. You perceive their collective gaze as a singular, burning light, 1,000 individual hopes and fears converging into one overwhelming demand for strength. You are their king. In this moment, you must be. But beneath the shining armor, beneath the layers of velvet and silk, your own heart thumps a wild, uneven rhythm against your ribs, a frantic protest against the immense pretense. You force your chin up, your gaze sweeping across their faces, trying to project absolute, unflinching courage. But inside, you are intensely, acutely aware of the rigid, unforgiving steel digging into your skin, the oppressive heat building beneath your helmet, the subtle ache in your back. The words you spoke, powerful and rousing, now echo in your own ears, sounding strangely distant, as if from another person. This is not just a role. It is a profound act of will, a battle waged internally to embody a strength that, in your innermost self feels fragile, precarious. You taste the dry, chalky taste of forced resolve. You hold your posture, unwavering, as the silence holds. Then, slowly, a new cheer erupts, stronger this time, filled with conviction. It's a sound that should fill you with triumph, but instead, it settles with a hollow ache in your chest. You are hailed, adored, trusted, and in that moment, utterly, devastatingly alone. The woman beneath the armor trembles, just slightly, invisibly, yet the king stands resolute, a monument to an unwavering, fierce necessity. The sea wind whips around you, carrying the scent of their belief, and the secret, bitter knowledge of your own hidden vulnerability. You realize that the greatest power often demands the most profound act of self-erasure, turning a trembling heart into the unwavering resolve of a nation, and in doing so creating a king where only a woman once stood, a solitary, magnificent burden. A faint, ghost-like echo of laughter, light and unburdened, dances on the periphery of your hearing. It's not a sound that is truly present, but a lingering resonance, a whisper from a time just past, settling in the grand, silent halls of your palace. It's a sound you know intimately, a specific cadence, a joyful burst that once filled these very spaces, now replaced by a chilling void. The air itself seems to hold its breath, waiting for that laughter to return, a memory infused with a sharp, poignant ache. You are walking through the long gallery, its polished oak floor reflecting the muted light from the tall, arched windows. Your silken gown rustles softly around you, the only truly present sound. The scent of old tapestry and beeswax hangs heavy, but beneath it, you can almost catch a fleeting hint of that familiar, expensive cologne, a personal signature now absent. Your ladies-in-waiting follow a respectful distance behind, their footsteps hushed, their faces carefully impassive. You feel their awareness, their unspoken knowledge of the profound emptiness that now pervades these once vibrant rooms. You pause by a window, your gaze sweeping over the vast, formal gardens, now stark and bare in the autumn chill. You recall a moment, clear as if it were yesterday, of a figure running across that very lawn, chasing a hawk, his unrestrained laughter carried up to your window. You can almost feel the warmth of the sun on your face, the lightness in your own spirit, a fleeting sense of joy that now feels painfully distant. You press your hand against the cold glass, trying to anchor yourself in that memory, to conjure the tangible warmth of that laughter. But it's only an echo, a memory. The present is a profound silence, a heavy, unyielding weight that presses in on all sides. You taste the ever-present dryness in your mouth, a nervous, almost bitter tang that speaks of loss, of isolation. You perceive the empty spaces around you, the absence of a particular posture, a specific gesture, a familiar way of leaning in close to whisper some amusing, irreverent remark. The ornate furniture, the vibrant tapestries, the very architecture of the palace now feel like a hollow stage, set for a play that has suddenly lost its star, leaving only the principal actress to wander its vast, quiet expanse. You continue your walk, your steps measured, your regal bearing unwavering. But inside, your soul aches with a profound sense of loneliness. The laughter, once a beacon of light, now serves as a constant, phantom reminder of what was and what can never be again. It is the sound of a closeness lost, a companionship irrevocably severed, leaving behind a wound that no amount of power or adoration can heal. The court is quieter now, more orderly, more predictable, but also infinitely colder. Robbed of that singular, vibrant spark, you realize that power, in its relentless pursuit of control and order, often demands the sacrifice of personal warmth, turning even the most cherished relationships into fleeting echoes, leaving the heart of a queen to wander alone in a palace of profound and echoing silence. The cold, unforgiving metal presses into your palm, a small, smooth circle that feels impossibly heavy. It's not your own ring, not one you recognize as a gift or a token of loyalty. This is a signet ring, intricately carved with an unfamiliar crest, its surface cool and slick against your skin, even in the warmth of your clenched fist. You can almost smell the stale, uncirculated air of the hidden compartment from which you've just retrieved it, a subtle, earthy scent of secrets and disuse. You are in a private study, a room once bustling with the vibrant energy of your favorite, now unnervingly quiet, echoing with a profound emptiness. The heavy oak door is closed, latched, sealing you in this space where every object, every shadow, seems to hold a memory. Dust motes dance in the slivers of weak winter light, filtering through the leaded windows. Your ladies-in-waiting, dismissed for a moment of solitude you desperately needed, are absent, leaving you utterly alone with this chilling discovery. You feel the tremor in your hand, a slight internal shudder that spreads through your arm, chilling you to the bone. Your eyes sweep over the desk, over the scattered papers, the overturned inkpot, remnants of a hasty, desperate search. This ring, this tiny, innocuous object, was tucked away, almost purposefully concealed, behind a loose panel in the wall. You turn it over, feeling the subtle ridge of the engraved crest. It's the emblem of a rival, a known adversary. A bitter metallic taste floods your mouth, a raw, primal surge of betrayal that overshadows the faint, acrid scent of the ink. This isn't just a ring. It's a stark, undeniable piece of evidence, a tangible link, a cold, hard truth that cuts deeper than any blade. You perceive the sudden, profound shift in your world. The laughter, the easy companionship, the shared confidences. All of it suddenly twists, retroactively tainted, transformed into a cunning performance. You remember a certain gesture, a particular glance, a hushed conversation, and now they replay in your mind, recontextualized, revealing a sinister undercurrent you had blindly overlooked. The warmth of a cherished bond abruptly transmutes into the icy grip of calculated deceit. A sharp, almost physical pain pierces your chest, an ache of profound disillusionment. You close your hand around the ring, its coldness a stark counterpoint to the burning fury that ignites within you. This is the truth, laid bare, undeniable. The weight of it settles on your shoulders, a burden that feels heavier than any crown, a crushing testament to the fragility of trust in a court built on ambition. The silence of the room, once peaceful, now feels menacing, a vast, echoing space filled with the ghost of a loyalty shattered. You know what must be done. The path forward is grim, clear, and utterly solitary. You realize that the coldest betrayal isn't found in grand pronouncements or open conflict, but often in the small, hidden objects left behind, solidifying a devastating truth that irrevocably transforms memory, corroding every tender feeling, and leaving an unfillable void where trust once stood. A low, somber dong, heavy and resonant, shimmers on the crisp morning air, then fades, only to be followed by another, equally mournful. It's a distant sound, yet it seems to vibrate through the very flagstones beneath your feet, a chilling pulse that carries an unmistakable message. You can almost taste the dust the wind carries, mingled with a new, subtle acridness, a faint hint of burning herbs from the houses below, a desperate attempt to purify the invisible. It's the sound of a plague bell, tolling from a faraway church, marking another life extinguished, another family grieving, another inexorable step of the invisible killer. You are standing in your solar, a room designed for warmth and light, but now it feels cold, strangely sterile. Sunlight streams weakly through the tall windows, illuminating motes of dust dancing in the air, each one a potential carrier, a silent threat. Your ladies in waiting, usually a comforting presence, stand further back, their hands clasped, their eyes downcast, their very posture radiating a heightened, almost contagious anxiety. Their hushed whispers, usually a soft hum, are now gone, replaced by an unsettling, profound silence that amplifies the distant clang of the bell. You move to the window, pressing your hand against the cool, leaded glass. From this vantage, you can see the city stretching out below, usually a bustling tapestry of life. Today, it is different. The streets are unusually sparse, the market square eerily quiet. An unnatural stillness settled over everything. Only the occasional hurried figure, cloaked and hooded, scurries along, their movements quick, furtive, as if pursued by a shadow no one can see. You perceive the fear in their haste, the desperation in their avoidance of one another. The air itself feels heavy, charged with unspoken dread. The bell tolls again, a slow, deliberate cadence that marks the passage of death, reminding you of the scratch of a quill on a death warrant, but this time, the hand signing is unseen, unstoppable. You taste the dryness in your mouth, a nervous response that has nothing to do with hunger, everything to do with a profound sense of helplessness. You are queen, sovereign, commander, yet this invisible enemy respects no crown, no decree, no army. You feel an intense, burning frustration, a rage against an adversary that cannot be fought with steel or strategy. The scent of those burning herbs, now stronger, carries a desperate, futile hope. You turn away from the window, pulling your rich velvet gown tighter around you, as if the fabric could offer protection from the unseen contagion. You glance at the faces of your ladies, their fear a mirror to your own, yet you must maintain an impenetrable facade of strength. You are the rock, the constant, even as an unseen tide threatens to engulf your realm. The distant bell tolls once more, a chilling punctuation mark on the pervasive dread, a reminder that even the most powerful are vulnerable to forces beyond their control. You realize that true power, in the face of an invisible, indiscriminate enemy, feels terrifyingly fragile, reduced to a desperate vigilance and a profound, isolating recognition of your own inescapable human vulnerability. A chilling, metallic taste rises in the back of your throat, a phantom echo of the blood that courses through your veins, now feeling strangely vulnerable, fragile. It's a taste that settles deep, a constant gnawing awareness of your own mortality, utterly unlike the bitter ink or the coppery tang of fear you've known. This is a cold, stark, biological truth. You can hear the distant, mournful clang of the plague bell, now a more frequent, insistent rhythm, each toll a hammer blow against the illusion of your safety. You are standing in your private chapel, the air thick with the heavy scent of incense and old wax, a desperate attempt to ward off the unseen enemy. The stained glass windows, usually vibrant with sacred light, seem muted, casting somber, almost sickly hues across the polished stone floor. Before you, a small, somber procession of your most trusted advisors and clergy move with a strained solemnity, their faces pale, their eyes hollow with exhaustion and fear. You feel the cold, smooth texture of your prayer beads in your hand, a small, tangible anchor in a world that feels increasingly out of control. You watch as the priest, his voice raspy with perpetual prayer, lifts the chalice, his hands trembling slightly. You perceive the fear in his eyes, a profound, undeniable terror that even his faith struggles to contain. You taste the dryness in your mouth, a perpetual symptom of the gnawing anxiety that now permeates every waking moment. The distant bell tolls again, a mournful lament, and you feel a subtle tremor run through the small gathering, a collective flinch. No amount of decree, no army, no wealth can halt this insidious foe. Your power, so absolute in matters of men, is utterly impotent before this microbial tide. You try to focus on the intricate carvings on the altar, on the familiar symbols of divine protection, but your mind races, replaying the sparse streets, the frantic scurrying figures, the increasing frequency of the bell. You remember the sterile touch of the physicians, the cold prodding, and now you understand, with a chilling clarity, that even your royal body, once a vessel for England's future, is merely flesh, vulnerable, susceptible, no different from the humblest peasant. The perfumed letters, the plots, the battles, all now seem trivial, distant concerns in the face of this overwhelming, indiscriminate threat. You close your eyes for a moment, gripping the prayer beads tighter, seeking solace, seeking control. But there is no control to be found, only the relentless march of the disease, the relentless tolling of the bell. You open your eyes, looking at the somber faces of your court, and you see not loyalty, not adoration, but a shared, profound vulnerability. You are their queen, their protector, but you are also just a woman, caught in the terrifying grip of a force that mocks all earthly authority. The incense, meant to purify, now feels like a futile, cloying veil over an undeniable spreading rot. You realize that ultimate power, when confronted by the indiscriminate force of nature, shrinks to reveal the stark, terrifying truth of human frailty, leaving you exposed and powerless, bound by the same mortality as the humblest of your subjects, tasting the bitter, undeniable truth of your own inescapable, fragile humanity. A faint, papery crackle, surprisingly crisp, snags your attention, cutting through the comforting roar of the roaring fire. It's a sound that doesn't quite belong, too sharp, too precise, not the natural hiss and pop of burning wood. You can smell the rich, earthy scent of oak and pine, but now it's overlaid with a sudden, faint chemical tang of burning ink, a fleeting, almost bitter aroma that momentarily eclipses the warmth. It's the sound of information being destroyed, a secret being unmade in the flames. You are seated alone in your private chamber, before a massive stone fireplace. The warmth of the roaring blaze a welcome contrast to the perpetual chill of the castle. The heavy velvet of your gown feels luxurious, but now your attention is entirely consumed by the small piece of parchment you hold, its edges already curling, darkening, consumed by the hungry orange flames. Your hands are bare, the intricate rings usually adorning your fingers deliberately removed, enhancing the raw, visceral connection to this act of destruction. You watch as the carefully folded letter, a coded message intercepted just hours ago, twists and writhes in the heat. The elegant, unfamiliar script, a precise hand meant to be hidden, flickers for a moment, then blackens, dissolving into ash. You see the faint, coded symbols, the cryptic lines, turning to nothing. The crackling intensifies, a rapid-fire succession of tiny pops and hisses, as if the very words are screaming their undoing. You taste the dryness in your mouth, a nervous response, and feel the heat of the fire on your face, an intense warmth that does little to dispel the profound chill in your heart. You perceive the figures of your most trusted advisors, their faces grim, their eyes fixed on the burning paper, their silence a heavy shared burden. Their gazes are not on you but on the secret, on the information that threatens to unravel your intricate web of power. The air around them feels thick with unspoken implications, with the weight of loyalty and the constant simmering threat of treachery. You feel the cold, smooth texture of the remaining parchment in your fingers, a fragile connection to a dangerous, ephemeral truth. As the last sliver of the letter turns to ash, floating upwards in a ghostly wisp before disappearing into the flue, a profound silence descends. It's not a peaceful silence, but a charged, heavy void, filled with the memory of the words you chose not to read in their entirety, the secrets you chose to destroy unexamined. The warmth of the fire now feels less comforting and more like a tool of brutal efficiency. You clench your hand, feeling the phantom pressure of the burning paper, the echo of its destruction. This act is not about knowledge, but about control, about maintaining an impenetrable facade, even if it means sacrificing clarity. You realize that power, in its darkest corners, often demands the willful destruction of truth, preferring the comfortable illusion of ignorance and control over the unsettling clarity of a hidden, coded threat. The crackle of burning paper, you learn, can be the sound of an entire world being reshaped, defined not by what is known, but by what is meticulously, irrevocably destroyed. A faint, almost imperceptible whisper of air against your bare neck sends a sudden shiver down your spine. It's not a draft from the window, nor the gentle movement of your ladies. No, it feels like the brush of an unseen presence, a subtle shift in the atmosphere that speaks of eyes upon you, even when none are directly visible. You can smell the rich, heavy perfume of the tapestries, but beneath it, a faint, almost metallic tang of suspicion seems to cling to the very air, permeating every breath you take. You are seated in your private withdrawing room, a space intended for comfort and repose, yet it feels anything but. The light from the tall, arched windows is soft, muted, casting long, ambiguous shadows in every corner. Your ladies-in-waiting sit quietly at their embroidery, their heads bowed, their fingers deftly working silk threads. Yet you feel their collective awareness, a constant, low hum of observation. Their averted eyes are a familiar dance, but you perceive the subtle, momentary glances that flick upwards, not at you, but at the door, at the tapestry, at the empty space beside you. Every sound is muted here, yet every creak of the floorboards, every distant cough, every rustle of silk feels amplified, laden with unspoken meaning. You reach for your wine goblet, your fingers brushing against the cool, smooth silver. You lift it slowly, deliberately, taking a small, measured sip. The wine is rich, familiar, yet it tastes thin, almost bitter, overshadowed by the persistent dryness in your mouth, a nervous response that has become a constant companion. You watch your own reflection in the dark, polished surface of the table, your expression serene, composed, a mask of impenetrable calm. But behind that mask, your mind races, sifting through every interaction, every perceived slight, every overheard snippet of conversation. You perceive the silent figures of your guards at the distant doors, their postures rigid, their eyes sweeping the room with professional vigilance. But who are they truly watching? You or each other? Or perhaps those beyond the chamber doors? The world has become a vast, intricate web, and you are trapped at its glittering center, unable to discern friend from foe, loyalty from calculated deception. You remember the perfumed letters, the whispers in the corridor, the cold ring in your hand. Each memory is a thread in this suffocating net, slowly, inexorably tightening. You close your eyes for a moment, pressing your thumb and forefinger against your temples, a faint ache blooming behind your eyes, the pervasive sense of being watched, of every action, every gesture, every fleeting expression being analyzed and interpreted, is exhausting. It forces you into a perpetual performance, an unrelenting vigilance that allows no true moment of unguarded rest. The warmth from the brazier in the corner feels distant, offering no comfort against the deep, internal chill of utter isolation. You open your eyes again, your gaze sharper, colder, more wary. You realize that power, in its highest echelons, often constructs a golden cage, a glittering prison where every comfort is accompanied by a profound, corrosive fear. And the deepest solitude is found not in physical isolation, but in the constant gnawing awareness that no one, truly no one, can ever be fully trusted. This cocoon of fear, you understand, is the price of the crown. A dull, insistent throb starts deep in your jaw, a low, rhythmic pulse that quickly escalates into a sharp, piercing ache. It's not a sudden, fleeting pain, but a deep, pervasive throbbing that seems to radiate through your entire head, a constant, undeniable presence. You can almost taste the subtle, sour tang of infection, a bitter, metallic flavor that coats your tongue, making even your own saliva feel unpleasant. This is the unmistakable, relentless protest of a decaying tooth. You are in your private chambers, ostensibly receiving foreign ambassadors. The room is grand, filled with the rich scent of silks, imported spices, and the heavy, cloying fragrance of their own elaborate perfumes. Their voices, a low murmur of respectful salutations and diplomatic pleasantries, seem to ebb and flow, at times blending into a distant, incomprehensible buzz, at others, piercing with agonizing clarity, directly into the throbbing nerve. You are seated on your throne, its hard, unyielding wood a constant, low-level discomfort, but now utterly eclipsed by the burning torment in your mouth. You grip the ornate armrest, your fingers clenching into white-knuckled fists, trying to find some anchor, some distraction from the relentless pain. Your face, usually a mask of regal composure, feels stiff, almost frozen, every muscle fighting to suppress the overwhelming urge to flinch, to cry out. You taste the sharp, metallic tang of the decaying tooth, a foul presence that feels like it's poisoning your entire mouth, making you acutely aware of its corrupting influence. You try to keep your breathing even, shallow, lest a deeper breath draw attention to the barely contained agony. You perceive the faces of the ambassadors before you. Polite, attentive, their eyes flicking over your face, undoubtedly searching for any sign of weakness, any crack in your formidable facade. You meet their gaze, forcing your own eyes to remain steady, sharp, imperious. You must not betray the internal battle raging. You feel the trickle of cold sweat down your back, a silent testament to the immense effort required to maintain this unwavering presence, even as your jaw pulses with unrelenting torment. Your ladies-in-waiting stand silently behind you, their averted eyes signaling their quiet awareness, their helplessness. The throbbing intensifies, a relentless hammer blow against your brain, making it difficult to focus, to form coherent thoughts, to even listen to the carefully worded pronouncements. This physical agony, so private, so visceral, is a stark reminder of your own inescapable humanity, a painful vulnerability that stands in profound contrast to the image of unshakable power you must project. Each pulse of pain is a silent rebellion of your own body, a refusal to be ignored, to be transcended by the demands of the crown. You realize that even the most absolute power offers no immunity from the brutal, unyielding truths of the physical body, reducing a queen to a mere mortal, silently enduring a deeply personal torment while the grand theater of state continues, utterly unaware of the battle raging within. The constant throb of a single decaying tooth, you learn, can become the loudest, most insistent reminder of your own fragile humanity. A foul, sickly sweet taste coats your tongue, clinging to the roof of your mouth, an undeniable, persistent flavor that even sips of the finest wine cannot truly mask. It's the bitter essence of decay, a taste that arises not from what you eat, but from within your very own mouth, a constant, low-grade poisoning. You can feel the rough, uneven surfaces of your teeth, some sharp, some hollow, a silent internal landscape of ruin that your tongue explores almost constantly, unconsciously, drawn by the lingering ache. You are seated at a grand banquet table, a glittering centerpiece in the heart of your palace. The air is thick with the rich aromas of roasted meats, sweet pastries, and costly imported spices, a feast for the senses, yet the overriding sensation for you is that persistent, internal foulness. Around you, the court buzzes with polite chatter, with laughter that seems to ring, with an effortless, unburdened joy. You feel the heavy weight of your jeweled gown, the tight lacing of your bodice, each an intricate part of the grand illusion you meticulously present. You offer a small, regal smile, a practiced movement that barely parts your lips. It's a subtle gesture, carefully controlled, designed to convey grace without revealing too much. In the reflection of a polished silver platter, you catch a fleeting glimpse of your own face. The luminous, impossibly pale skin, painstakingly created by layers of Venetian ceruse, perfectly framed by an elaborate coif. It is the face of Gloriana, ageless, serene, majestic. Yet, in that same fleeting reflection, you perceive the stark, shadowed line of your teeth. Dark, uneven, some truly black. A profound contradiction to the brilliant facade. You taste the metallic tang of your own saliva, mixed with the decaying sweetness, and feel the constant, dull throb in your gums, a persistent reminder of the hidden affliction. The warmth of the room, the vibrant energy of the court, all seem to press in, amplifying your internal discomfort. You perceive the subtle shifts of gazes around the table, the momentary flickers of eyes that might have lingered too long on your mouth, perhaps, or perhaps merely your own paranoia, a constant companion. Your ladies-in-waiting, seated nearby, maintain their serene expressions, their eyes carefully averted from your face, but you sense their awareness, their shared understanding of this particular, unmentionable flaw. You raise your goblet to your lips, taking another careful sip, a deliberate, slow movement designed to hide the slight tremor in your hand. The wine offers a momentary washing sensation, but the bitter taste of decay quickly returns, settling deep in your throat. This is the truth, the secret you carry beneath the painted perfection, the constant physical manifestation of an internal corrosion that no amount of power or artistry can truly conceal. It is a daily, minute-by-minute battle against the inescapable reality of your own aging, decaying flesh hidden behind the most magnificent, unblemished of masks. You realize that the most profound deceptions are not always spoken but lived. A constant, agonizing performance where the glittering facade of power is maintained at the cost of enduring a very personal, very intimate, and very bitter truth, making the most beautiful queen also the most tragically flawed. The cold, unforgiving glass of the mirror presses against your fingertips, a surface you haven't touched in years, not truly, not without layers of light and artifice. It's hidden, tucked away in a forgotten antechamber, veiled by dusty velvet that feels rough and brittle beneath your touch. A subtle, metallic tang hangs in the air around it, a scent of disuse, of trapped memories. As you draw aside the heavy, dark cloth, the true, unfiltered reflection that stares back is a shock, a sudden, visceral jolt that leaves you breathless, a gasp catching in your throat. You are standing alone in a small, forgotten corner of the palace, a place where the court seldom ventures. The air is still, heavy with the scent of old wood and neglect, far from the perfumed grandeur of your public rooms. Your silk dressing gown, unadorned, hangs loosely, a stark contrast to the heavy regalia you usually wear. You feel the cold seep from the glass into your palm, a sharp, grounding sensation that only intensifies the jarring sight before you. This isn't the carefully constructed image of Gloriana. This is something else entirely. Your eyes, accustomed to seeing a smoothed, pale, ageless queen, are confronted by a stranger. The Venetian ceruse, usually a flawless mask, is absent. Lines, deep and etched, fan from the corners of your eyes, around your mouth, carving paths across your forehead. The skin, without its painted illusion, is thin, veined, almost translucent in the dim light. Your hair, usually a vibrant red beneath an elaborate coif, is shot through with stark, undeniable streaks of gray, pulled back carelessly, revealing the starkness of your brow. And your teeth, the ones you constantly hide behind a guarded smile, are visible now, stark and black against the pallor of your mouth. A profound wave of nausea washes over you, a bitter taste rising in your throat, distinct from any infection or fear. It's the taste of raw, unvarnished truth. Suddenly thrown into sharp relief, you reach out, your fingers trembling slightly to touch the glass, almost expecting to feel the rough texture of the years that have claimed your face. The reflection does not move to meet you. It simply stares back, unwavering, relentless, stripping away every carefully constructed layer of your public self. You perceive the immense chasm between the monarch you present to the world and the solitary, aging woman who now stands exposed. You close your eyes for a brief moment, trying to reassemble the familiar, polished image in your mind, to retreat behind the impenetrable mask. But it's too late. The vision is seared into your memory, a silent, damning indictment of the relentless march of time. You open your eyes, forcing yourself to gaze upon the truth for a few more agonizing seconds. This forbidden mirror, in its brutal honesty, offers no comfort, only the stark, undeniable reality of your physical decay, the personal cost of a life spent in perpetual performance. You realize that sometimes the most terrifying confrontation is not with an enemy across a battlefield, but with the unvarnished truth of your own reflection, revealing the irreversible toll that time and the demands of power have taken on the very essence of your being. The mask of a queen, you find, can hide a multitude of pains, but it cannot stop the march of time. The cool, deliberate brush of a fine hair bristle against your cheek is the first sensation, methodically sweeping a delicate scented powder over the carefully applied ceruse. It's a dry, soft caress, a final layer sealing away the raw truth. You can smell the faint, floral aroma of the powder, a fragile sweetness that struggles to mask the underlying, sharper tang of lead and the faint, bitter scent of your own skin beneath, struggling for air. This is the daily ritual, precise and unyielding, of erasing the mortal woman and constructing the divine queen. You are seated at your familiar dressing table, its silver mirror now brightly lit by a dozen candles, chasing away all but the most stubborn shadows. The room hums with the soft, practiced movements of your ladies-in-waiting, their hands skilled and swift, each knowing their intricate part in this grand daily deception. Their gazes are fixed on their task, meticulous in their artistry, transforming the exposed canvas of your face into the iconic image required. You feel the constant, subtle tug of a hand arranging a heavy curl, the gentle pressure of a finger smoothing a pearl into place within your elaborate wig. Then comes the wig itself, a masterpiece of false hair, painstakingly constructed from red and gold threads, stiffened with wires and adorned with jewels. It is lowered onto your head, a substantial weight that settles with a definitive, almost crushing finality. You feel its warmth, its artificial heft, pressing down on your scalp, obscuring your natural hair. Your neck stiffens instinctively, taking on the burden. The intricate, starched ruff is then fastened, its stiff lace pressing against your throat and jawline, forcing your head into an unyielding, regal posture. You taste the ever-present dryness in your mouth, a nervous, almost dusty sensation that has become synonymous with this meticulous transformation. You watch your reflection in the mirror. The lines, the imperfections, the subtle decay you glimpsed in the forbidden mirror, all are gone, vanished beneath layers of pigment, powder, and artifice. Staring back is Gloriana, impossibly pale, with bright, unblinking eyes, a visage of ageless power and unwavering majesty. Your true features are now merely the framework for this magnificent illusion. You perceive the complete transformation, the successful erasure of the aging woman, replaced by the formidable monarch. The subtle pressure of the heavy gown, meticulously laced and fitted, further encases you, a glittering shell that is both exquisite and utterly constraining. You lift your hand, a heavy jeweled glove already in place, and touch your cheek. The surface is smooth, cool, impassive. It feels less like your own skin, and more like finely wrought porcelain. The woman who stood before the forbidden mirror, startled and vulnerable, now recedes, fading into the background of your consciousness, replaced by this unshakable, timeless image. It is an act of will, a deliberate choice to inhabit this gilded prison, to become the icon. The subtle whispers of silk as your ladies finish their final adjustments are the last sounds of your transformation, ushering in the profound silence of the sovereign. You realize that the greatest artifice is not merely applied, it is inhabited, a profound act of self-creation, where the mortal woman is meticulously erased, and the divine queen steps forth, utterly alone in her magnificent, self-imposed isolation, a masterpiece of enduring and relentless will. A profound, echoing silence hangs in the air, broken only by the faint, distant crackle of the dying fire in the hearth. It's a silence not of absence but of emptiness, a void where voices once debated, whispered and clashed. You can almost smell the lingering scent of old parchment and the ghost of pipe smoke, mingling with the heavy odor of polished wood and aged velvet, a powerful aroma of past decisions and forgotten arguments. This is the Privy Council chamber, and it is eerily, profoundly quiet. You are seated at the head of a massive, circular oak table, its polished surface reflecting the dim candlelight, making it seem vast and cold. Your posture is impeccably regal, but your hands, resting on the smooth wood, are clasped tightly together almost unconsciously. Around the table, a dozen ornate chairs stand vacant, their velvet cushions undisturbed, their high backs a stark, silent testament to the absent figures who once occupied them. Each empty seat is a physical void, a chilling reminder of what, and who, is no longer there. You run a gloved finger along the cool, smooth surface of the table, feeling the faint grooves left by generations of use. Your eyes scan the empty chairs, each one a phantom presence. Here, a brilliant strategist, now long in his grave. There, a steadfast loyalist, his voice still vivid in your memory. You taste the dryness in your mouth, a perpetual companion to the gnawing anxiety that now churns deep in your stomach. The cold seems to seep from the polished wood, creeping into your bones, reinforcing the profound chill of isolation. You perceive the echoes of their debates, their urgent pleas, their unwavering counsel. Their collective wisdom, once a formidable bulwark, is now reduced to a collection of memories, fleeting and intangible. The weighty decisions, once shared and debated, now fall solely upon you, a crushing burden that no one remains to help carry. You recall the loyalty, the occasional betrayal, the relentless dedication of those who once filled these very seats. Now only silence and ghosts remain. You close your eyes for a moment, trying to conjure their faces, their voices, to feel their reassuring, if sometimes challenging, presence. But when you open them, the chairs remain stubbornly empty, stark and unyielding in the dim light. The immense power you wield, the absolute authority of the crown, now feels less like an advantage and more like a profound, isolating curse. There is no one to truly consult, no one to truly trust with the full weight of the truth, no one to share the burden of command. This profound solitude, you realize, is the ultimate price of a long, unshared reign. You realize that ultimate power, when wielded for decades, eventually hollows out the very court meant to support it, leaving the sovereign to preside over an assembly of ghosts, bearing the unbearable weight of every decision in profound, echoing solitude. The empty chairs, you learn, can speak the loudest truths. A deep, profound chill settles around you, not from the cold stone walls, but from the untouched, silken surface of a small, embroidered cushion on a window seat. It's a cushion you remember a particular person often occupied, a soft indentation where their form once rested. You can almost catch a faint, lingering scent of dried rose petals, a fragrance long faded, but now vivid in your memory, a ghost of sweetness in the sterile air. This is your bedchamber, vast and grand, yet it feels emptier than any tomb, filled only with the quiet, persistent echoes of those who are gone. You are standing by the immense leaded window, your heavy velvet dressing gown falling in rich folds around you, its weight a familiar comfort. The light from outside is dim, fading as dusk settles over the castle, painting the sky in somber hues. The room is utterly silent, devoid of the soft rustle of your ladies-in-waiting, the crackle of a busy fire, or the distant hum of court life. This is a deliberate solitude, a space carved out for memory, and it presses in on you thick and heavy. You feel the cool, smooth glass against your forehead, a physical anchor against the swirling tide of absence. Your eyes sweep across the familiar furnishings, each object a silent monument to a past presence. The chess table, untouched for years, still holds the last unfinished game, pieces frozen mid-move. The tapestry depicting a hunting scene, once admired with a knowing glance from a long-lost friend, now hangs lifelessly, its colors dulled by time. You trace a finger along the cold, polished surface of an antique silver music box. Its delicate melody, a forgotten lullaby. You perceive the silence, not as absence of sound, but as a chorus of unspoken words, unshared jokes, unasked questions. A profound weariness settles in your bones, a deep-seated ache that goes beyond mere physical fatigue. It's the exhaustion of enduring, of outliving, of being the last one left standing in a room full of ghosts. You taste the dryness in your mouth, a subtle, nervous tang that speaks of a heart too long accustomed to a quiet internal grief. You remember the youthful faces in the Privy Council, now only empty chairs. You remember the spirited laughter, now only a faint echo. You remember the fierce loyalties, the bitter betrayals, the shared triumphs and secret sorrows. All those lives, once vibrant and intertwined with yours, are now reduced to wisps of memory, intangible and beyond reach. You walk slowly to your bed, its grand canopy a looming shadow in the dim light. You run your hand over the rich, embroidered counterpane, feeling the cool, soft texture, a small, solitary comfort. You close your eyes, trying to conjure their faces, one by one, to feel their warmth, their presence, but they remain fleeting, translucent, just out of grasp. This palace, once a bustling center of power and life, has become a gilded mausoleum, and you, the queen, its solitary enduring survivor, forever haunted by the silent company of your ghosts. You realize that the ultimate price of a long, powerful reign is often measured not in victories or crowns, but in the profound, echoing solitude of having outlived everyone who truly knew you, transforming a vibrant court into a quiet, personal graveyard of memory. The icy shock of the polished stone floor against your bare cheek is the first sensation, startlingly cold, stark, and utterly unforgiving. It feels impossibly hard, a brutal anchor in a world that suddenly seems to be spinning, blurring at the edges. You can smell the faint, musty scent of ancient beeswax, usually a comforting aroma in your chambers. But now it mixes with a sharper, almost metallic tang, a hint of your own fear, or perhaps the stale air of a room left too long undisturbed. A low, persistent hum, like distant bees, resonates in your ears, not from any actual source, but from deep within your own skull. You are lying sprawled on the grand palace floor, rich velvet tapestries looming above you, their familiar patterns suddenly alien, distorted. Your silken gown, once a symbol of majesty, is now twisted awkwardly around you, its delicate fabric rough against your skin, its weight oddly heavy, confining. The candlelight flickers, throwing dancing shadows that seem to mock your prone position. You feel a profound disorientation, a sense of disconnect between your body and the opulent surroundings. Your breath is shallow, ragged, catching in your throat. You try to lift your head, a monumental effort. Your muscles feel weak, uncooperative, as if they no longer belong to you. Your vision blurs, the ornate carvings on the ceiling swirling into an indistinguishable mass of gold and dark wood. You squeeze your eyes shut, attempting to regain some semblance of control, but the internal spinning only intensifies, a dizzying carousel of fragmented thoughts and images. The faint, high-pitched coturge in your ears becomes louder, more insistent, pushing away all other sounds. You taste nothing but the bitter, dry cotton of your mouth, a nervous symptom that has become a constant companion. You perceive the presence of others, hovering at the periphery of your blurred vision. Your ladies-in-waiting, their faces pale, their expressions a mixture of terror and frantic concern, move in hushed, darting motions. Their hands hover, unsure whether to approach, to touch, to help, or to simply observe this alarming breach of regal composure. They dare not speak, but their silent fear is a palpable weight, pressing down on you. You catch a glimpse of a stretched white hand, trembling, reaching for a goblet of water, then retreating, as if even that act of service requires an impossible courage. Their movements are like silent dancers in a horrifying slow-motion play, and you, the queen, are the fallen, helpless centerpiece. A sharp, almost unbearable ache blooms behind your eyes, a searing pressure that mirrors the internal chaos. You press your hand against your temple, a desperate, futile attempt to quell the storm within, to force the scattered fragments of your mind back into coherent order. But the world continues its slow, nauseating spin, the shadows on the walls morphing into grotesque, mocking figures. The cold of the floor, the heavy silk of your gown, the distant hum in your head, all conspire to keep you tethered to this terrifying, vulnerable moment. You are utterly alone in this internal struggle, even as the fearful eyes of your attendants watch your every labored breath. You realize that the most formidable prisons are not always constructed of stone and iron, but can arise, insidious and inescapable, from within the very confines of your own mind, leaving you stranded, lost, and profoundly vulnerable on a gilded palace floor. The rough, cold surface of the stone bench presses into your back, an unyielding support, yet every joint aches with a deep, persistent protest. It's not a pain of injury, but an all-pervasive weariness, a bone-deep exhaustion that seems to have settled into every fiber of your being. You can smell the stale, heavy air of the chamber, thick with the scent of old velvet, and a faint, acrid tang of human frailty. A low, persistent hum, like distant, muted thunder, resonates in your ears, a constant reminder of the internal turmoil. You are huddled in a small, windowless alcove, far from the grand bed that looms, dark and inviting, in the center of your chamber. The room itself is dimly lit by a few flickering candles, their flames barely reaching the high, shadowed ceilings. Your magnificent gowns and heavy jewels are gone, replaced by a simple, thin dressing gown that offers little warmth against the encroaching chill. You feel the constant tremor in your hands, a delicate, uncontrollable quiver that speaks of profound fatigue and an unyielding internal tension. Your eyes are wide, unblinking, fixed on the distant, heavy velvet curtains that obscure the window, as if something unseen lurks beyond them, waiting. You taste the perpetual dryness in your mouth, a nervous, almost metallic flavor that has become a constant companion. You remember the cold stone of your childhood, the coarse fabric, the bitter taste of obedience, the metallic tang of betrayal. Each memory is a thread in a tapestry of a life lived under relentless scrutiny, a life that now recoils from the ultimate surrender, rest. You perceive the subtle movements of your ladies-in-waiting, their faces pale and etched with concern, their hushed whispers a muted backdrop to your internal battle. They try to coax you, to guide you, their hands hovering gently, trying to lead you towards the inviting comfort of your bed. But you resist, every fiber of your being recoiling from the softness, from the surrender it represents. The bed, once a sanctuary, now feels like a tomb, a place of ultimate stillness, of relinquishing control. You catch a glimpse of your own hands, gnarled and frail, clutching the edge of your simple dressing gown. A desperate, defiant gesture. The cold from the stone seeps further into your bones, yet you refuse to move. The exhaustion is immense, a crushing weight that threatens to overwhelm you, but the fear is greater. The fear of what stillness might bring, of what final surrender might mean. The hum in your ears intensifies, a silent scream against the inevitable. You are the queen, the survivor, the one who has always fought, always endured. To rest, to sleep, feels like an admission of defeat, a betrayal of the tireless vigilance that has defined your long, solitary reign. You realize that for a life spent in perpetual battle, where survival has been the only constant, the ultimate fear is not of pain or conflict, but of the profound, irreversible stillness of the end, a final surrender that even the mightiest sovereign struggles to embrace. The refusal of rest, you find, can be the last, most desperate act of a life lived in unyielding defiance. The soft, persistent glow through the tall chamber window begins to wane, not abruptly, but with an insidious slowness, a subtle retreat that feels less like a natural progression and more like a deliberate, gentle draining. You can feel the warmth of the day's last light, once a comforting presence on your face, now drawing back, leaving a cool, growing emptiness in its wake. The air, already still and heavy, seems to thicken with the diminishing light, taking on a muted, almost mournful quality. It's the palpable sensation of time itself quietly, inexorably, slipping away, You are seated by that very window, your back stiff, your body aching with a profound, bone-deep weariness that no amount of rest seems able to alleviate. Your eyes, strained and red-rimmed, are fixed on the world outside, watching the familiar landscape transform. The vibrant greens of the distant trees bleed into somber grays and deep bruised purples. The sharp edges of the castle battlements soften, blurring into indistinct masses against the fading sky. Shadows lengthen, stretching like silent, reaching fingers across the inner courtyard, swallowing familiar details, obscuring the path. You try to focus on a single stubborn branch of ivy clinging to the stone wall, watching its leaves turn from emerald to almost black. It's a small act of defiance against the blurring world, a desperate attempt to anchor yourself in clarity. Your hands, gnarled and frail, rest on the cold, smooth stone of the window seat, their trembling a constant, quiet protest against the body's relentless decline. You taste the perpetual dryness in your mouth, a nervous, almost dusty tang that now feels like a permanent resident. The world, once so vividly defined by the sun's uncompromising gaze, now yields to an encroaching, all-encompassing dimness. You perceive the subtle movements of your ladies-in-waiting, their figures becoming more indistinct in the growing gloom. They move with an exaggerated quietness, their faces, though largely obscured by shadow, conveying a profound sense of apprehension, of unspoken sadness. They dare not speak, but their silent presence, their averted gazes, reflect the gravity of the moment, the universal truth unfolding before their eyes. No one attempts to light the candles, as if even that small act of resistance against the fading light is now futile, or perhaps simply unwelcome. A deep chill begins to seep into the chamber, not merely from the evening air, but from the emotional vacuum created by the vanishing light. It settles in your chest, a cold, empty ache that mirrors the desolate landscape outside. The fading light feels intensely personal, a tangible manifestation of your own diminishing vigor, your own dwindling time. Each moment that passes, each degree of darkness that falls, feels like a page turning, a chapter closing, irrevocably, quietly. The grand, unwavering image of Gloriana, so carefully constructed, now dissolves with the light, leaving only the vulnerable, aging woman exposed to the gathering shadows. You realize that light, in its simple, honest departure, does not just reveal the ending of a day, but also the inevitable, unyielding approach of one's own finality, making every lengthening shadow a stark, silent testament to the precious, finite nature of all things, even a queen's long reign. A thin, ragged gasp, more a hitch in the air than a full breath, rasps in your throat, shallow and painfully insufficient. It's a sound that escapes your control, a primal struggle against an invisible, encroaching force that presses down on your chest. You can smell the faint, cloying sweetness of the dying lilies placed nearby, mingled with the heavy, stale scent of old linen and the bitter, coppery tang of your own failing body. This is the unmistakable, terrifying scent of finality. You are lying prone in your grand four-poster bed, its heavy velvet canopy, once a symbol of royal grandeur, now feels like a confining, oppressive shadow. The chamber, usually a vibrant space, is hushed, illuminated only by the weak, flickering glow of distant candles, their light barely pushing back the deep, consuming gloom. Your body, once a vessel of power and defiance, feels impossibly heavy, leaden, pinned to the soft, luxurious mattress. Every muscle aches, every joint protests. But these are distant sensations, overshadowed by the overwhelming struggle for air. You try to focus your eyes, to find an anchor in the blurring world. Faces, pale and indistinct, hover at the edge of your vision, their features stretched with fear and a profound, helpless grief. They are your most loyal ladies-in-waiting, your last remaining attendants, their hands hovering, some clasped in desperate prayer, others reaching out, then retreating, unsure how to offer comfort in this ultimate, solitary moment. Their hushed whispers, barely audible, sound like distant murmurs, fading in and out of your awareness, growing more muffled with each shallow gasp. The perpetual dryness in your mouth intensifies, a thick, suffocating sensation that no sip of water can now alleviate. Your tongue feels heavy, unresponsive. You perceive the fading warmth of your own hand, resting on the rich, embroidered counterpane, slowly cooling, slowly losing its familiar connection to your will. The world outside the canopy, the vast kingdom you have ruled for so long, now feels utterly remote, a distant, irrelevant hum, its concerns no longer yours. The intricate tapestries on the walls, once vivid with stories of past glories, now seem to ripple, their images blurring, dissolving into soft, indistinct patterns. A profound stillness begins to settle within you, a quiet surrender that creeps in from your extremities, slowly, inexorably. The frantic thumping of your heart, once a powerful rhythm of life, softens, becoming fainter, more irregular, like a distant drum losing its beat. The struggle for breath eases, not with relief, but with a quiet, undeniable relinquishment. The voices, the light, the very world itself retreats further, becoming a soft, indistinct blur at the very edge of your awareness. There is no pain now, only an immense, profound weariness, an overwhelming desire for the fight to simply, finally cease. The last conscious sensation is a soft, cool whisper of air, an ultimate exhale, a gentle release. Then, a silence, deeper and more absolute than any you have ever known, settles over everything. The burdens, the power, the misery, the relentless demands of the crown, all vanish in that final profound stillness. The world you shaped, the age you defined, now moves on, forever changed, but without you at its helm, leaving only the profound, lasting echo of a life fiercely lived, and finally, irrevocably, surrendered.